the tape, let's grind. Shut up. The tape. Let's grind. The tape. We do it a little bit different around here.
We ain't gonna play. Shut up and grind the tape.
Let's grind.
We ain't gonna play. Them dogs in your face.
Let's grind.
We ain't gonna play. Shut up and grind the tape.
Let's grind.
We ain't gonna play. Them dogs in your face.
Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape.
The tape. Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Shut up and grind. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape.
The tape.
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro.
The tape.
UGA game day, boy, we ball out. Pull up, put the whole conference in the doghouse. Leave them 6 feet, see me on the win streak. All-star status, go coach and the bench deep. Offense on 10, how we run it? Your best ain't nothing, we gon' send them boys punting. Black and red, got them dead on arrival. Defense hunker down for the tie. Hey, you don't want it with the dogs. Found guy on it, you don't want it with my dog. Break it down, play by play, that's the day-to-day. They know we ain't come to play, boy, it's UGA. Kirby smart, I cannot play the fool. Back to back, we did not come to lose. Back to back, like we got something to prove. Pay your dues, dog nation on the move. What's up?
We do it a little bit different around here.
We ain't gonna play. Shut up and grind the tape.
The tape.
We ain't gonna play. Them dogs in your face.
Let's grind.
We ain't gonna play. Shut up and grind the tape.
Shut up. Let's grind.
We ain't gonna play. Them dogs in your face. Shut up and grind.
Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro.
Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape.
The
Shut
tape.
up and grind.
Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro.
Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro.
Let's grind.
Grind the tape,
The
bro.
tape.
Shut up and grind. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape. Shut up and grind. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro.
Shut up. The tape.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to MBR, or as we like to call it around here, Nothing But Rants, the show where I find topics that I'm oddly passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about. What's up? You really like that?
Let's shut up and grind some tape.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Are we froze? Yeah. You stepped on the cable, didn't you?
I must have stepped on the cable.
Hey, the good news as Jonathan unfreezes us right now, we've figured out what actually happens now. There's like some wire shortage in one of these cables. That's a great screen to be frozen on as well. There's like a cable that Jonathan has underneath his desk that I guess he might have stepped on. We're unfroze now, though.
Yeah.
Welcome in. Last show, best show, as we say around here. What a great way to start it, man. That looks hysterical. What a great way to start tonight's show. Tremendous amount of recruiting news. Tremendous amount of recruiting news. I knew it was going to be one of those shows.
Yeah.
On the world of college football front today, Julian Lewis obviously commits to Colorado today on the Pat McAfee show. And right before the show tonight, Bryce Underwood flips his commitment from LSU to the home state school, Michigan. We'll talk about that tonight. We'll give you our final thoughts on this weekend's biggest game out there in the Big Ten between Indiana and Ohio State. We're going to play a little game of Sell Me. You got to sell me on the best football game of the weekend, why it's going to be the best football game of the weekend. And, of course, it is Thursday, so we've got Unless It Doesn't Happen and a good take a peekage. But, boys, let's start with the news of the day. Dave Portnoy, bottom of 5-star. Hey, boys?
Oh, boy,
Sure
did he
did.
ever. Holy shit, dude.
$10.5 million. Bryce Underwood flips his commitment. The 5-star quarterback, number one quarterback, pretty on consensus rankings. The 6'5", 230-pounder out of Michigan, just outside of Detroit, flips his commitment LSU to Michigan.
The funny part about Dave Portnoy is he puts this little video out today, and he's like, "Now I know everybody's asking, like, Dave, how much influence did you have on this?" He's like, I'm not going to get into the details of this. Like, trying to act like he maybe didn't have anything to do with it. But dude is wearing like a jeweled crown and has this gold staff in his hand. Like, this dude had everything to do with it, it feels like.
He clearly wants people to know that I had something to do with this without explicitly saying I was the one that this happened.
Well, he offered $3 million annually to donate to Michigan's NIL fund specifically for a 5-star quarterback. Ironically enough, $10.5 million over 4 is just under $3 million. So it sounds like he got himself a bargain.
Holy shit.
Well, sounds like that bargain might be going elsewhere.
What's up?
There's a UMass super fan in the chat.
Huh?
This is
There's such thing as UMass super fans?
There's a UMass super fan in the chat right now.
Like, what are we talking about? Like, a level of super fanness. Are we talking about like a UMass fan that's been to every single UMass game over the last several years? Were you at that screen shaker between UMass and New Mexico State earlier in the year? If so, I got to meet you Saturday. If you're one of these guys that travels around with UMass, we got to get a photo.
For real. I didn't mean to derail the segment.
Oh, no, go ahead. That's worthy.
one of our members is doing a tremendous bit right now.
You think so? I kind of want to believe.
You think that there's a UMass fan out there that was already a member of the Film Guy Network?
Nah, dude.
Good on them though, because
It's
this member absolutely gets this show.
I love
He
it.
absolutely understands.
I
what's
love a
going on.
commenter that gets the show. Anyways, back to the Bryce Underwood story. I've been trying to. He's getting a lot of Cam Newton comparisons. I understand that one. That makes a lot of sense. I think there's a tremendous amount of passing development that this young man has to go through, just for the stance that he hasn't ripped it a bunch. Mechanically, it's clean for a 6'5" guy that is as long and as lanky and as athletic as this guy is. His mechanics exceptionally clean. He just hadn't chunked it a bunch in the high school level right now in the high school ranks. I don't think Michigan's ever going to ask him to chunk it a bunch. Historically, they don't. So it's a good matchup and a good mix from that standpoint. Here's what I love about Bryce Underwood. Everything I see, everything I know about this individual, he loves to compete his ass off. And when you give someone this many God-given talents from a height, weight, speed standpoint, ability to throw the football, you give me an ultra-competitive individual, I like the makeup. That's what I like.
Well, I think, too, like everyone wants to question the talent level that he's playing against in high school. That's fine. That's open for criticism, as it always is for every player that plays down to that level. But the thing about Bryce Underwood is the traits of everything that he has. What is noticeable every time he steps out on the football field and the things that you can't coach, he has all of that. I mean, anything and everything, the size, the arm strength, the athletic ability, he has it all. And that stuff does translate to the college level. Like, you can refine some of the things that you need, or maybe he needs to adjust to the college level once he gets there, as do most high school athletes. That's all fine. But the stuff that you can't coach, he has, and he has it like 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy that Michigan's kind of gone in a direction where they need a major boost. They need some help just because of everything that's happened with the mass exodus. You've got a potential scandal. You've got a scandal, but you've got potential suspensions coming down the block here. This could be a guy that really turns his program around for the better. So,
and like I said, I think it's a great stylistic fit for the way they play offense. Best case, you got like an elite athlete that can actually throw the football.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, you've got a much better version of Alex Orji.
Well, I mean,
if the passing game never develops, you've got a football player that can still at least spin it at a really high rate.
Is there a worst case scenario where the NCAA comes down with their suspensions and their rulings? And then he says, all right, well, I can't make a postseason here. I'm not going to be able to do anything at Michigan. I'm going to transfer out. Do you think that could be worst case scenario?
I mean, if we start talking about like NCAA sanctions, like you can't participate in a playoff type of vibe, he probably transfers out, but not for a pay cut. Like this is a lot of money, man. LSU people that I've been reading today have said that it was double the offer. And look, the $10.5 million was the last reported. And after that $10.5 million was reported about a week ago, I think it was 10 days ago, he was on LSU, or he was on Instagram kind of trolling Michigan with some LSU official photos. So who's to say it didn't get bumped?
Yeah, I mean, he's probably going to be more than what the numbers were expected to be. Or they're just a bluff and the entire thing, he's not making that much. But you'd have to believe that with everything that's coming down potentially for Michigan, for him to flip here, there was definitely some cheddar involved.
Have you seen the videos of him getting interviewed? I think it's Crane and Company. at the On 3 Elite Series event. Have you seen the videos of him
No.
getting interviewed? He was asked about Michigan and the potential. This is back in July during the On 3 Elite Series. They were talking to him about, why not the home state school? Because David Cohn, their executive producer, is a big, Michigan guy, played there. And he basically says, like, who do they develop at quarterback? They've never developed a quarterback. And it was kind of that. And I guess you can buy your way out of a lot of things.
Sure, absolutely. Money talks.
Buy your way out of a lot
Money
of things.
talks louder than anything.
Just interesting. I think it's going to work out, though, for sure. Hopefully. I want to see it work out. Anybody that's this talented and this fun to watch, I'm telling you, the high school, he doesn't have a junior tape out right now, I don't believe, or a senior tape out right now. The clips that I have found, you have to go watch like full game highlights from some dude on the sideline shooting with a 4K Nikon. All right. And when you watch this stuff, you'll see he's playing with the best team in the conference against some guys that ain't very good. He's got several weapons around him, a couple of good offensive linemen, but he's the team. Like he totes the ball 17, 18 times a game. He throws it 16, 17 times a game, and he's the best player on the football field. But what I was fascinated by was to watch a 5-star quarterback that's about to make anywhere north of $11 million, $10.5 million in college football out here flipping over playing safety in tight football games. Again, dog, absolute dog, competes his ass off, talks his shit, extremely talented football player. Excited to see what it looks like on the college ranks. Guys, not a lot of momentum on the recruiting front right now for LSU, despite the fact that they still have a top 10 class. This dropped them from number 3 to number 6 today. I don't know if this is the last decommitment from the LSU Tigers.
Shoot, I mean, minutes after Bryce Underwood commits to Michigan, Derek Meadows, the 4-star, some would say 5-star wide receiver, gets forecasted to flip to Michigan.
Oof. This is bad for Brian Kelly because, I mean, it's not a stretch to say that the season you've had in 2024 has been disappointing. To follow that up with a disappointing class in 2025 where it's still a solid class. There's still a lot of talent there, but a lot of the players that you thought you were going to be able to get, you don't end up getting. That's a disappointing class. So things could get kind of warm for Brian Kelly very quickly.
And you're losing football games.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Ugly. Not great.
No. How long does he have of this before it's like, all right, get out of here?
I mean,
because like the
guys,
last...
I think we got it. I'm not the one who has to stroke these checks for these buyouts, but they still owe him $62 million. So says the chat. I think unless you have oil money like Texas A&M, what'd they give Jimbo? 72 to walk away?
Close to 80, yeah.
They gave him close to $80 million to walk away. And that was the record by $60 million, wasn't it? Or $40 million, $50 million? They like completely reset the market for world's record buyout. And we know what's coming down the track. And it ain't a mean machine in red and black. We know what's coming down the track. What it is $20 million annually coming out of these football budgets and coming out. It's the athletic budget, but we all know what that means. When we talk about college athletic budgets, we talking about the college football dollars that get put into the athletic administrations. That's taking a $20 million hit, we presume, starting as soon as next year. So I don't know if you're going to be out here signing up to eat $62 million. Also, by the way, who you going to hire?
That was my question. And plus, like, I understand that LSU maybe hasn't achieved the standard that they wanted to when they hired Brian Kelly. Like, maybe he hasn't elevated the program to the heights that they wanted to when this hire was initially made. But Brian Kelly is still very much a top 10 coach in college football right now. He's a veteran. Top 15, that's not arguable. You can't argue against that, in my opinion. So he's still one of the better coaches in college football. So there's not much of a difference of better that you can get if you do let go of Brian Kelly. I understand the criticism that is around him. He hasn't exactly showed up in big games at LSU. He's losing games that he probably shouldn't at LSU. He's doing all things. The momentum seems to be shrinking on the recruiting trail as well. But there's not many names out there, if any names out there right now, that you could hire and immediately plug him in and you think that the program is going to get better.
Yeah. By the way, we got off to a weird start with the start of the show, but happy birthday, Jay Will.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
I meant to write it in as soon as we started off, but that's on me. Happy B-Day, my boy.
Appreciate it.
But no, I mean, the who do you hire thing is always going to be, you just hire the next best available person. But history states that it doesn't really take much for them. Now, obviously, the 2021 start was abysmal for Ed Orgeron, and so was 2020 after that 2019 season. But LSU was 9-3 in 2015, and then they started 2-2 before they let Miles go in 2016. Les Miles. So it doesn't take a ton for them to pull the trigger on you. Now, I get $60 million is a talking point that'll kind of probably keep them, but 2025 could be a big year for Brian Kelly.
I just have a feeling if you can't win at LSU, it says a whole lot about you.
Mm-hmm.
They got,
Which is so
they got
funny.
grass eaters and swamp monsters winning natties.
Which is so funny because the whole mantra was like Brian Kelly consistently overachieved at Notre Dame. Notre Dame is not one of these powerhouses anymore, and he consistently had them at.
The shirt was a little hot.
I bet it is.
It is warm, yeah. He consistently had them at 10-2, 11-1, had them in national titles, had them in playoff games. Like Notre Dame consistently overachieved with Brian Kelly, and it feels like LSU is consistently underachieving. Now, granted, they're in year 3 of the Brian Kelly experience, in a year where they won the West in year 1 and had a Heisman winner in year 2. So, like, to say they've underachieved horribly is unfair to him, but it certainly hasn't been what the standard was at this year.
Well, and I
this
think,
season.
too, like, what's kind of happening at LSU is one of the main reasons why many believe that Brian Kelly's shift to the SEC and to LSU would not work out of. The gauntlet and the schedule that you have to go through at Notre Dame, we're seeing it this year, to make a playoff spot, to be in the top 10, to be in the top 5, is completely different than it is in the SEC, especially when you add in teams like Texas and Oklahoma. And especially, I mean, it was hard enough when you're in the Western Division, but now, especially when there is no divisions, you're just competing against the top of the SEC in general. So I think like that's kind of coming to fruition, especially this season.
And it's not just the grind of the SEC schedule, it's the grind of having to recruit in the SEC. Like that was his first problem when he came in. He said, man, I didn't realize how hard the recruiting was. And that was the family and all the cringy dancing TikTok videos that he got.
Did he really not think it was hard?
Well, I don't think he didn't think it was hard. I think it was more he didn't realize how much of a challenge it would be. And that was what he talked about. He's like, it's exhausting work. You never stop. So I think that's starting to show now where he's in year 3 and he's still struggling to finish and get these guys that you really need in your classes.
Speaking of finishing out the 2025 recruiting class, we are nearing ever so closely to early National Signing Day. It sounds like, based off everybody I've talked to on the recruiting staffing front, it'll still feel like traditional early National Signing Day this year. Wednesday, the first Wednesday of December, still going to be a lot of teams popping off most of their commitments during that time period. So it sounds like we're going to have a National Signing Day Super Day show. So
Love that.
show up,
before-
show out. We're going to have a good 4-hour stream, maybe 5-hour stream right up in there. All right, National Signing Day is approaching. I tasked the boys to go through the 24/7 consensus rankings was what I am. I'm a 24/7 consensus rankings guy. I think I'll be that way for the rest of time. As long as certain personnel remains there that I trust the evaluations of. But anyways, so that's what we're going off of. We're going to have some talking points and some teams that we want to give some shout outs to. First and foremost, you start at the top. Georgia, currently on pace to sign the 4th #1 overall recruiting class since Kirby Smart's been there. Now, I only credit Kirby for 8 full recruiting cycles.
Yeah.
And he signed 4 #1 overall classes. He's never signed a class outside of the top 3 consensus rankings.
That'll do.
That ain't half bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that ain't half bad. I don't know if they've been doing it like that out here before. Maybe Saban did for a good stretch, maybe like from 8 or I would say maybe like 2009 to maybe 2014.
Yeah.
Maybe Saban had a run like that. But that's 5, 6, 7 years. We're talking about an 8-year run where you're just like, hey, Georgia's going to sign the top class.
And not just that. 2009, that entire era is so different than what you're dealing with now. There's no NIL, there's no transfer portal, there's none of this stuff. Like recruiting is so much more complex than it was just 5 or 6 years ago. So the fact that he's been able to sustain this greatness is impressive.
And by the way, we're going to talk about this at much further length during the local hour, but Georgia ain't done by any stretch of the means, okay? They have 26 players in their class tonight, or as of right now. I'm going to show you during the local hour, I think they get up to about 30, 32 players, and there's some flips to be done during the University of Georgia's finish to this 2025 recruiting class. What's a team that stood out to you, boys?
The first one that jumped off the page to me was Florida State at 44. I know we talk about how this is a portal-based team that they're never going to be super high on the recruiting trail, but there's no momentum there. And when there's no momentum in your program at all, even in the recruiting trail, it makes it seem hard to go out and get these portal guys. Now, I mean, Mike Norvell had a 13-0 season with the portal guys, but that was also coming off the heels of, hey, Florida State showing you a lot of potential. I think they were 8-4 in 2023.
The biggest concern,
22.
the biggest concern about that for me was that everyone looks at that 2023, that last year's cycle for Florida State, and looks at that season and is like, oh man, transfer portal acquisition strategies really, really work. That was a year 2 pop. I think a lot of people forget that most of those really great transfer portal players, right? Both defensive linemen, the linebackers, the quarterback, right? Those were second, third year. Apart from Keon Coleman, most of those guys had been there 18 months, developing, buying in, doing everything that he couldn't get this batch of players to do for him this round. So we got to double down again this cycle and see what they can make out there at Florida State.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how long that Florida State is willing to put up with this. Now, obviously, if you pop off another 13-0 season, you win the ACC, like it's not going to be an issue, but I just don't know. It just doesn't look great right now.
What caught your eye, J. Will?
Clemson at 17th. And the reason why this one stuck out to me is they only have 14 commits right now. And that wouldn't be too alarming for most programs right now because it'd be, they're just going to try and play the portal. Clemson does not play the portal. And National Signing Day approaching very quickly. No 5-stars either signed by Clemson right now.
So I think I have some explanations behind this for you, Jay Will. They do have 1 5-star defensive lineman committed to them right now. But I will say this about what's going on at Clemson. I think the ACC, far more than the SEC based off the numbers that I'm seeing, and correct me if I'm wrong, will you go through the ACC commits list on our rankings on 24/7 Sports and see how many commits most schools have? And here's where I'm going with this. Dabo, during his press conference the other day, was talking about how they're about to have to cut a lot of football players because the ACC is going to the hardened 105.
So there are 3 schools that don't have 20 yet. It's Clemson.
But everybody else is north of 20?
Florida State's not north of 20, but we know what Florida State's going to do. Stanford, Virginia Tech, NC State. Like it's not
most,
the big boys.
What I'm asking, John or Kirby, is are most schools taking full classes north of 25 guys, or are most schools taking lightened classes like Clemson in the ACC?
Clemson has 14. Florida State has 13. NC State has 18. Virginia has 17. Cal has 14. North Carolina has 11.
So the
Louisville
answer
has
is
11.
yes. So the answer is yes. Obviously, the ACC is going to hold themselves, and Dabo's already said it. Obviously, they're going to hold themselves to the hardened 105. They're going to get rid of walk-ons. They're going to start progressing into this 105 structured cap. The SEC, based off everything that I'm looking at and everybody I'm talking to, apart from the portal schools, most of these guys are going to take full classes, as we're going to talk about with Georgia tonight. You look at Alabama, they're north of 26 commits, I think, right now as well. These SEC schools are playing by a different strategy right now than some of these other conferences. In my opinion, I don't know if everybody else is talking about this. This is something to pay attention to. We literally, not only do we have teams playing on different rules in terms of strength of schedule and all that good stuff, we got player acquisition strategies that are completely different amongst Power 4 conferences right now. Something we've never had in this sport.
Yeah, that's fair.
That is true. That's very interesting.
All right, something to pay attention to there. I'm looking at Florida right now. Guys, since they've tweeted out we believe in Billy Napier, we ain't getting rid of him. Guys, Florida has jumped 10 spots in the 24/7 consensus rankings with the addition of a flip of Tramel Jones from Florida State, as well as a flip of my man Daniel Pierre-Louis from Florida State as well. Daniel Pierre-Louis, a 3-star, but here's what I'm going to tell you. I only know about Daniel Pierre-Louis because he was on that Georgia board in this 2025 class, and I'm a Daniel Pierre-Louis fan. This is my type of offensive guard, super athletic, really good in the pull game, and a very violent hitter and striker with the screws of the helmet.
Is it sacrilegious of me as a Georgia fan to really want Billy Napier to succeed there?
Nah, I don't think it's sacrilegious of you, because here's what's happening to you. And this happened to me as I really started to study everybody else about 2 years ago when we ventured into this national scene. I know the quality of football here is higher. It doesn't mean it is the end of the quality of football in the world of college football.
Right.
So I find myself looking at Kenny Dillingham's football team and going, damn, that's good football. Oh, I love this. I love watching this. I find myself going and watching, Penn State's offense and going, man, if I didn't have a weapon out, this is what I would do. That kind of stuff. So I think that's what's happening to you.
And it's not just that. It's also that, he came into such a shitty situation, didn't have a chance, and he's kind of getting the one who's being blamed for it now. So you kind of root for him. It's like an underdog story.
Hey, and the other news for Florida, sounds like they're getting a seat at the table for Neem Offord.
And Jamie French.
and I think another wide receiver target.
Yeah,
So there's some Uncle Mo down in Gainesville right about now, and all it took was a "We believe in you" tweet from the athletic director.
Hell yeah. Jay, well, you talked about how Clemson only has 14 commits on their class right now. Would you guys like to guess how many commits Army has?
I'm gonna guess 17.
Give me a strong 12.
Army currently has 75 commits in their
What?
class and is ranked 117th. Now,
What?
I thought at first that was a glitch. Navy has 53 and they're ranked 130th. So the way that Army and Navy must be recruiting, I'm not familiar with it, but it's got to be that they take in a bunch of guys. For us.
You want to come to the Army and you also play football? Bring that on over here.
Insane.
Is this a yearly thing? Do they take this many guys
Because
every year?
there has so many of those kids have to not even exist.
Well,
in
they
the
also have
rankings realm.
Yeah, they have 75 commits and their entire class, they have 3 3-stars.
So here's the other thing that I know about the service academies. They actually do have a JV unit. They have a underclass JV squad that plays.
Yeah, they have a 170 and lower.
And they play the Ivy League schools occasionally for scrimmages that don't count, and they play one another. So that could be something. Also, I have a joke here that I'm uncomfortable making considering the climate.
Okay.
Ooh.
So
Maybe
why'd you tell us you wanted to
maybe an
make a funny
off-air
joke?
We going to war?
Ah.
They banding up?
Nah, they just
need
see
some quality bodies.
they just see
man.
that there's a national powerhouse up
All
there in
right,
Army
I'm
right now.
just making sure.
You want to play for national?
The boys are
title?
looking
Or am I?
around saying,
I don't
wait a
know.
minute, Army's a top 25 team?
I
I'm
mean,
going
no
Army.
different than the way we track Texas A&M's recruiting with the price of oil. Maybe we need to track Army's recruitment with the movement of troops across
The world
enemy
climate.
lines.
Not the worst take I've ever heard.
I mean, not terrible, right?
No, it's not.
It's real high-level advanced thinking is what that
Yeah.
was.
Not bad. Washington being ranked 18th in the recruiting rankings caught
Shout
my eye.
out.
Shout out Jed Fish.
Jed Fish getting it done. Only been there not even a year yet,
A
and he's getting
fish
top 20
or
class.
of men.
One would call him that.
That's a swing and a miss.
Yeah.
That's okay.
all right,
they
though.
can't all be hits.
Yeah, you can't bat a
But
thousand.
Jed Fish is hitting on the recruiting trail. And, having a top 20 – I don't know where Washington is stacked up historically in the national rankings for recruiting.
Yeah, I was about to say last year they were in the mid-40s. With
So
stay on the
top
board.
20, that feels like a really good standard to hold. Like if that's where you're going to sit for Washington, that's a good spot to be.
I'm taking a look at Georgia Tech inside the top 20. They got some things that I don't necessarily agree with, and we'll talk about that. We have talked about that on this network, and we'll rehash this. But, man, they are doing what it takes to recruit well at Georgia Tech, and it's something that I've always pleaded for. And I knew Paul Johnson just didn't care about recruiting because of the way that he ran offense. It's just the way it is. You're a triple option guy. You don't system, whatever. Geoff Collins, my boy Geoff, just didn't do a good enough job of bordering the state for players that Georgia didn't want. And that's the key. If you recruit at Georgia Tech, all you got to do is show love to the kids in state. The guys that Clemson's made an absolute fortune off of coming in here and go, oh, Georgia don't want you? We'll show you some love. Oh, you're player number 29 on Georgia's 28-player board. Come on, we'll take you. Same thing South Carolina's been doing for years. Same thing to a large degree schools in the SEC like Kentucky have been doing. They've been coming down to the metro Atlanta area and taking top 200 players that maybe didn't fit Georgia's profile or maybe didn't fit Alabama's profile or maybe didn't fit, any of the major brands that come down here in this area and start to recruit. Guys, they have 14 of 21 players locked up from the state of Georgia. They've got 8 guys in their recruitment class from the state of Georgia that are ranked inside the top 100 players from this state, okay? They're doing a really, really good job, okay, of hammering down the state of Georgia for players, again, that other programs have consistently came in here and taken out of their roster. I do think they overpaid for a player like Josh Petty, but it is what it is.
That's all right. As long as, being in the top 20 or around that range for Georgia Tech, that's much improvement for them.
Damn it!
On that recruiting trail.
Yeah, you just have to be competent on their trail. It doesn't you don't have to be one of these powerhouse teams right now, but just keep building momentum.
Mm-hmm. Tennessee is one that has certainly sparked up an interest in this recruiting cycle. They got the 5-star David Sanders. That's the headliner of the recruiting class. George McIntyre is the other one that certainly caught an eye as well. He's the quarterback that they have committed in this class. They also have guys like Lagonza Hayward, which I know that there's been some rumors that he may flip somewhere else, but everything that he has said says he's locked down with Tennessee. Just a really solid class. Josh Heupel continuing to elevate that program in all areas of the game, recruiting being one of them. Seems like he's stacking up now solid recruiting classes.
It's scary to see Tennessee stacking up solid recruiting classes because they've always been one of these teams that kind of, could do it. The last 3 years in particular, they've really started doing it. When you continue to stack classes up like this, Tennessee's going to be a very good team for a long time, it seems.
I think it's the YouTube thing again.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there.
The audio going in and out, guys. Just exit out of
refresh
YouTube.
Especially if you're on a laptop or an iPad. It sounds like the phone was okay there. Guys, Oregon's got a really interesting strategy going on. Have you been paying attention to this?
It's pretty 5-star heavy, is it not?
Oh, dude, Oregon's strategy is very simple. You a dude? Okay, we'll recruit you. You not? We ain't interested. If there's only 15 dudes that want to come here and play for Oregon, we'll take 15, but that's it. And then we'll flip anybody else that wants to get paid to come be a dude at Oregon. Guys, they got 3 5-stars. Dakarian Moore, the wide receiver out of Texas. Dallas Wilson, a wide receiver out of Florida. Brandon Finney, a cornerback out of Maryland. Again, Texas, Florida, Maryland, 5 stars, going all the way out to Oregon. They have football players currently committed from the states of Texas, Ohio, Florida, Las Vegas, I know that's in Nevada, California, Washington, Illinois, and Arizona. They have 1 player from the state of Oregon, and it's the kicker.
Hell yeah. Special teams matter.
It is very clear. Bottom line, they are recruiting dudes only. That's it. I think they have 1 3-star committed to them right now, and it's a 6'8", 360-pound tackle out of California. They taking dudes and dudes only for Dan Lanning. It's very clear. Pay for high-end quality players. Go into the portal. Save whatever money we got for only portal players. Impact players only.
This is exactly what everybody thought Dan Lanning would turn Oregon into. A powerhouse on the recruiting trail, a national title contender during the season. They're doing that in the season right now, and now he's recruiting at a top level in the country as well. Nobody expected anything less from Dan Lanning. He was doing this type of stuff during his time at Georgia, just as a defensive coordinator. He was recruiting absolute dudes for that defense every single year, and now he's a head coach of a football program, and he's doing it all. He's recruiting at a high level, and he's winning football games.
Yeah, Dan Lanning's definitely living up to the expectations that were set for him in the recruiting trail, but someone who's kind of exceeding them, in my opinion. Alabama's got the number 3 class right now. We all talked about how Nick Saban leaves. That's going to go way downhill. Kalen DeBoer's never had to recruit the Southeast. He's never had to go up against guys like Kirby Smart, the killers that are in the college football recruiting realm. He's got 3 5-stars right now, and he's got a number 3 class in the nation. Like, Alabama hasn't really dropped off at all, if any. So shout out to him for doing a really good job.
They have lost some players as of late. Over the last couple of weeks, they have lost some keynote players. So they have lost some momentum. But they're still getting a really good class. Like Keelan Russell, that'll play.
And at this rate, he's going to ink a top 5 class. So, I mean, even if he loses more or gains more, like the way it's trajecting right now, they are in very good position. And it doesn't look like the recruiting is going to drop off at all under Kalen DeBoer, which is a great sign because that's probably the biggest worry you had. It wasn't about the X's and O's. Everyone saw what he did. His resume stood for itself as far as coaching goes, but the recruiting was where people had questions. He seems to be putting those questions to rest.
Another guy doing it nationally. He's kind of having to because of what Hugh Freeze is doing at Auburn in the state of Alabama. But Kalen DeBoer doing a really good job of going out and finding national blue chippers that want to come play for the Crimson Tide.
For sure.
Still a lot of those out there.
Any other teams
That's all
that you're looking at?
I hit my 3.
All right. I want to go over some top players that are still left and available. Fun fact, only 6 of the top 100 players on the 24/7 consensus player rankings are available right now. 94% of the top 100 players in America are already committed as we enter early National Signing Day. I rank the top 6 available are as follows. Justice Terry, it looks like all signs indicate him going to Georgia at this point in the cycle. Michael Terry III, an athlete, probably going to Texas, it looks like right now. You're going to see a theme here. Texas likely to finish strong. Isaiah Campbell, a defensive lineman, maybe Tennessee. Kids out of one of the Carolinas, it looks like maybe probably going to end up at Tennessee. Jakeem Stewart, the former 5-star in 2026 that reclassed into 2025. It looks like he's going to go to LSU, but we'll see. USC and Ohio State still trying to make a run there, it appears. Javion Hilson, an edge, looks like he's going to Texas. Madden Faramo is a linebacker that looks like he's going to Notre Dame. So some schools finishing relatively strong there, and still some flips left to be had.
Is this the new trend where basically the top 100 players are off the board?
It ain't new. It ain't new.
Is this the new
Since
norm,
early
though?
National Signing Day, the first year of early National Signing Day, I think numbers were like, I did a study on this a couple years ago. Numbers were like 60% of top players or 60% of signees signed in the early National Signing Day the first year it was available. After that, maybe not even that high. After that, it moved up to like 70%, then like 80%, then like 90%. Now it'll be like 95% of signees. Now, that doesn't mean everybody early enrolls, but that means everybody normally gets their paperwork done and signed it. I saw a question in the chat asking about the $20 million. Man, people really don't talk about House versus NCAA, do they?
No, they do not.
Are we the... All right, so there's a lawsuit that is already being settled. It's House versus NCAA. It has been labeled as basically the groundwork for what the new world order of college football is going to look like. Not to use strong terminology, but that's what it is, right? It is, to put it in its simplest terms, it is the NCAA agreeing to no longer violate their antitrust lawsuits and acknowledge that the athletes that produce the money and the revenue deserve a portion of the revenue split. So we are entering a revenue sharing model. With a revenue sharing model comes a lot of questions. How are you going to pay the athletes? What are you going to pay the athletes? What's the percentage that you're going to pay the athletes? Are you going to pay all of the athletes? Are you only going to pay the athletes that produce revenue? We don't know all the answers to those questions. However, there has to be some type of projections given out to these athletic departments so they can start to save some money. All right. And the money and the projections are that the revenue sharing model is going to require Power 4 schools that opt into now the new world order of college athletics is going to require about $20 million annually of a revenue split given to the athletes. Again, what athletes get them, how much money is going to be handed out, where the money is going to go. We don't know the answer to those questions. All we know is that $20 million is coming down the pipe. A lot of money. A lot of money, at least to some of these schools. I mean, Ohio State, I think last time I checked, Ohio State produced $300 million in football revenue alone last year, $80 million annually from the Big Ten television contract, which goes to all 16 member schools. The SEC's television revenue right now is about $60 million, and I think that just went up, I want to say, to somewhere in the 70s with the addition of Texas and Oklahoma. So some of these schools ain't hurting. Wake Forest, you might be in trouble.
Ruh-roh.
Yeah.
Or are UMass fan? You are already in trouble.
The UMass style. I hope that's not a troll. I really hope that's genuinely a UMass fan.
Let's continue our recruiting discussions with the announcement today on the Pat McAfee Show. The first recruit ever to go on Pat McAfee.
He said it was our first one ever.
I think so.
First time ever. Julian Lewis announces today that he's going to Colorado. I think this is really good for college football from the standpoint of this confirms that Deion Sanders is likely to be in Colorado next year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, he wouldn't commit if Prime was leaving after this year, if there was even a suspicion that he was going to do so. So it looks like Colorado's going to be here to stay, at least for the next coming few years.
And I thought it was really cool that Julian did not hide the reason why he's going to Colorado. He straight up said on the McAfee Show, I knew I was not going to have fun sitting on the bench my first year in college. I wanted to go to a place where I could play my first year. Colorado fits that mold for me.
It's a great fit for both sides. I mean, Colorado obviously needed a transcendent talent at the position with Shedeur leaving. And like you mentioned, Julian was very upfront throughout the entire recruitment process. This is a guy that wanted to play. This is a guy that entered high school and selected Carrollton to play for Joey King and went in there, started as a true freshman, and had not arguably, undoubtedly, the greatest freshman season in the state of Georgia high school football history, maybe high school football history, to be honest with you, with the numbers that he put up as a 14-year-old freshman. Obviously reclasses and gets into this 2025 class. This is a 17-year-old kid. And I think he's mentally prepared for the noise that comes with being the starting quarterback, not just in a Power 4 football program, but at a Power 4 football program that is coached by Deion Sanders. This is a guy that has been in the limelight since he was 12 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, he's gone viral since, he's been a viral sensation and a name to know since he was 12 years old. This guy was connected to the Deshaun Watsons of the world around here, the Trevor Lawrences of the world around here. And by all accounts, in my opinion, lived up to every bit of the hype that there was. And I know he's not going to finish as a quote-unquote 5-star in this class, but he reclassed. And Jakeem Stewart's not a 5-star. Jakeem Stewart's ranked 70th, I think, right now in this class, having reclassed up. So not very many guys are going to reclass and be automatic 5-stars.
Yeah.
No, I mean, this is huge moving forward for Colorado too, because you know that he's going to bring some talent with him. Just whenever a high-profile quarterback commits to a school, the wide receivers and the running backs and the offensive line see that as well, and they go, hey, I want to play with this guy. So Colorado's probably not – that's not the last commit for Colorado this class.
Oh, they'll go find some people in the transfer portal real quick.
Oh, yeah.
And that's one thing I do want to talk about. This is awesome for him in the sense it's a right fit, in the sense that they run a very quarterback-centric offense, and he was seeking a very quarterback-centric offense. He wants a lot on his plate as soon as he gets out there. But they're going to have to change some things. This isn't a football player that can afford to get sacked 3.5 times a game. And those are the improved statistics. I don't even know what it was last year when they were 127th in sacks allowed. Like, they are still giving it up pretty frequently in terms of the sack production. Now, I would say that's 3/4 the offensive line still a problem, and I was maybe 60% offensive line are still a problem, and 40% Shedeur Sanders be holding that rock. I don't know. I actually know for a fact this guy's going to get it out of his hands a lot quicker than Shedeur, but you're going to have to protect this kid a lot better than you did Shedeur. Shedeur's a not considerably bigger football player, but a considerably bigger football player. He's just a bigger human.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to protect him a lot better. All right. That is our recruiting talk of the night. Final thoughts on this massive Big Ten football game this weekend between Indiana and Ohio State. What do you got for me, boys?
Well, one thing that I've noticed
Oh,
is,
hold on. Well, I don't mean to cut you off. We haven't given an ad read. We haven't told people to give a thumbs up, like, subscribe, rate, review. So I want to take the time out right now to go ahead and ask you to hit that thumbs up button. If you are not subscribed to the network already, go ahead and do so. We are on our way to 37,000 subscribers here on the network. So appreciate you guys for that support. Go ahead and do so. Also want to give a quick shout out to our friends over at Better. If you're looking for a new place this season to place player props, Better is your place to be. All right, enter promo code Brooks over there. You'll get a 100% deposit match up to $200. As you can see on the screen above you, okay? A lot of keynotes, a lot of key stats to be talked about in this Indiana and Ohio State football game. I'll be taking the unders on all Indiana offensive players and all the overs on Ohio State offensive players. That's what I'll be doing. Is that what you're chuckling about? Yeah, that's what I'll be doing over on Better today. As soon as this show ends, I'm putting maybe a note, maybe a unit on that one right there. I feel really, really solidly about that one. Head over to Better right now. Support those who support us. Use that promo code Brooks. Again, you'll get a 100% deposit match. Boys, I'll start with y'all. What are your final thoughts on this football game, and particularly the keys to the matchup?
Well, I think the first thing that I noticed is the line has continued to move in favor of Ohio State. It was -10 and is now -12. So that's an indicator for me. That was a little interesting. I think I had them winning by 14, so that kind of fits around the scoring range that I had this game finishing at. But the closer and closer I get to this game, the more I feel like Ohio State is going to win pretty decently big in this matchup. I don't think they're going to necessarily blow them out. I think that Indiana's offense is good enough to maybe put some points on the board, make it a competitive football game. But I think this is going to be one of those games where it never feels like Ohio State has the game out of control and never feels like it's slipping out of their hands.
Ohio State hasn't really jumped on a team yet this year. Like, there hasn't been a moment where it's like, oh, they're just the absolute better team. Like, they've leaned on teams throughout the season, and they've out-talented plenty of teams, and I think they'll do that here. But I don't really see the avenue where we wake up and it's the first quarter and it's, oh, God, Ohio State's up 21-0. I think Ohio State wins this game. The only way, the key to this game is going to be, can Indiana's defense provide just enough momentum to give the offense a spark and keep it close? And then can you get that one final mistake or take advantage of something? But I think Ohio State handles this game. I don't think it's going to be the blowout that some people are expecting it to be. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think, just because Ohio State hasn't seemed to have that killer instinct yet. I mean, they walk through a Nebraska game. There was a group of 5 team that they started out slow against. And then
Marshall?
Yeah, it was Marshall. I mean, it took a long rushing touchdown for them to get anything going on offense. So it's stuff like that just makes you go, I don't see Ohio State coming out and punching Indiana in the mouth, but they'll win this game by 2 scores.
Did you see the homie Signetti doubled down on the Google reference?
Oh, he said to Google me?
Yeah, no, Google us. He
Ooh.
was defending his team and the teams that they played, and rattled off that most of the teams that they played were either at or above 500 when they played them, in reference to, I think, a 3-1 UCLA team. But, it is what it is. He doubled down on it again today. I like this man. I think he, offensively, I expect, their quarterback play and the offensive play in general, the way that they coordinate, the way that they call plays, the way that they game plan is obvious. They are a very professionally ran outfit. I expect them to execute at a relatively highly rate. But it 100% matters who you've played, particularly when you go into football games like this. It 100% matters whether or not you've seen what you're about to see from a standpoint of physicality and speed, right? They have not seen anything like this from an offensive and defensive standpoint from a talent level, right? And that should be noted going into a football game like this. I don't think they're going to be able to score enough, particularly for from this standpoint. They're going to be made one-dimensional in this football game. If there's anything going in this game, I think I know for a fact Ohio State's going to limit this rushing attack from Indiana, which is going to make them one-dimensional. And when you go one-dimensional on the road in a hostile environment against a really, really talented football team, it's a really bad recipe for success. Indiana's defense is going to give up points. I just don't know how many, and whether or not it's going to be like north of 35, but I think it's going to be relatively close. I like Ohio State in this football game, 34-17. I went 31-17 yesterday. I've changed my mind a little bit. I think it's going to be just slightly worse. I worry about Indiana's schedule coming up to this point, having not seen anything like this from an offensive standpoint. Their defense has played well, but they've played jack shit offensively.
Is 34-17 enough to get them out?
Is it like 34-10 and they score last possession, pushing the ball down the field under 2 minutes?
I don't know. I mean,
or is it the other way around? Like Ohio State finishes them off in the fourth quarter?
Either one. Like it's a 17-point loss regardless.
Yeah. I don't know. That's not my job. That's the committee's job. My job is to sit here and tell you how I think the game's fitting to go. And that's how I think the game fitting to go.
There is one thing that does give me some feeling of Indiana might be able to make something happen. Was this goofy video that Ohio State media team released today? It's straight either before or after practice. Looks like it's after practice. And it's the media team telling the football players to try and get the crowd ready for Saturday.
And they clearly have cue cards, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's scripted as can be, and it's like, we need you to treat every down like it's third down.
Cut.
We need you guys to be loud all 4 quarters.
Cut.
Like a bunch of fake juice from the players. And I was sitting here watching it on my laptop, and then Brooks is like, I could just tell that video is cringe without watching it. And it was. It was every bit of cringe.
I'll have to check it out. I didn't see it.
It's Ohio State's football account, so I think we have the rights to it if we wanted to play it, but that's a little late to be throwing that one on the audience.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, definitely should have had that one out.
But yeah, interesting.
But I do expect that place to be loud, not because the football players told them to, but just because.
Final thoughts? We're good?
We're good.
All right, here's the deal. You got 30 seconds. I'm trapped in an elevator with you. You got to sell me on one football game and why that football game is going to be the absolute game of the weekend.
All right. Am I going first?
You're on the clock.
All right. Tell me when to start so you can start counting.
Right meow.
All right, Alabama at Oklahoma. One team has had the season that they kind of haven't really thought of. The other team has had some bumps on the road under a new coach. Oklahoma's defense, combined with the fact that Alabama's offense can be a bit shaky at times, combined with the fact that it's in Norman, this game could be a classic and has the opportunity to be a massive upset and shake off the playoff rankings.
Oh, you still had about 4 more floors in there.
Yeah. We're stuck.
I want to get out quick. I didn't know how long the elevator
We got dead air in the elevator.
I didn't know if it was one of those Weston elevators.
We got dead air in the elevator. I hope no one farted.
I hope they got some banger elevator music.
I started 5 seconds late, and we only got it 10 seconds in. So I think that's about a 15-second elevator ride.
Also,
now the doors are
quick,
opening.
So.
Yeah, you're a little bit quick on the trigger right there.
Sorry.
Watch
I
out.
wanted to get through it. I didn't know how much time I had.
All right, Jay Will, you're up. You ready?
Florida versus Ole Miss. It's in the swamp. Ole Miss, we know. Lane Kiffin in that offense kind of struggles on the road. Florida's stadium, the crowd, they're still in it as much as I want to say they're boycotting football games.
Hell yeah.
Billy Napier, DJ Lagway, looks like they brought some life back into this team and in this offense. I think you got 2 explosive offenses. I think the over-under set at 55. I'm rooting for the points. I think it's going to be a great football game in conference play.
23 seconds.
Jordan.
Not a bad one. Not a bad
Good job,
one.
Jay Will.
You ready for this?
Wait. Let me get my time.
Oh, you got
I got one. Don't worry.
unbiased timer over
All
here.
right.
I got one. Ready?
What
set.
if I
Whoa, we
told
started.
you that we have an undefeated conference favorite throwing it all on the line versus the second place team at home this weekend? Ladies and gentlemen, we got an 11 a.m. local kick for all the marbles in conference or in the MAC. All right, it's outright conference league. This is Conference USA. Anyways, Jack State, a solid 9-0 football team down there, hosting Sam Houston State, 8-1, but only one conference loss for the outright conference lead. Amherst Stadium gonna be absolutely rocking this weekend in Jacksonville, Alabama.
Held me a little long. Got a little awkward there because I needed to step off and get off the floor, and I got to my destination, but strong pitch right there. I like me a good. This is a sleeper game. This is up there with Ball State versus Bowling Green.
Of course,
we got a dual. I mean, I like it.
Yeah, just checks out. I'm always gonna run long.
That's all right.
That's on me.
That's
Talk
all right.
quick.
You had me hooked. I didn't hate it.
Where are you taking a peek this weekend, boys?
First off, I told you last week this team is on my automatic always take a peek list just because it's like, well, this makes me feel a little bit better about myself no matter how bad the team's playing. Florida State versus Charleston Southern. Oh, he's getting cold again. He's putting the perk back on. Florida State versus Charleston Southern is definitely a game I'll be taking a peek at because it's so weird to watch a Florida State team that just 365 days ago was in national titles talks and is now turning in what they've been putting on the field. So I always take a peek at Florida State.
Missouri versus Mississippi State is on my taking a peek because I'm not watching that football game because it's either going to be nasty and Missouri's going to win or it's going to be nasty and Mississippi State pulls off an upset. So there could be either way. It's going to be a nasty football game, but I want to see which way it goes. I think there is a potential for Mississippi State to pull off the upset.
What about you, Brooks?
Let's see here. Where am I taking a peek? I had Charleston Southern, Florida State on this. The
I'll
Missouri
give you a minute.
Bowl.
UCF versus West Virginia purely because the over-under is set at 63.5. Points on points on points. This is Big 12 football in November right here.
I'm going North Carolina at Boston College as well. Mac Brown's coming back for 2025. I want to see if that team has any new vigor in them.
Talking a little Mac, are we? I'll be taking a peek at Vandy versus LSU. On the road.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Death Valley at night. Primo slot for these guys. And I'm gonna be sharing that one with a little bit of Alabama at Oklahoma.
You look like the substitute teacher that takes calling roll way too seriously.
Hey, Ron.
Like the one job that you're here to do, you're taking it way too seriously. I like it, though. East Carolina versus North Texas. Again, only reason, over-under, 72.5. Break the
Ooh, that could be
scoreboard.
fun.
Give me some fireworks. Turn it up.
That's
I
a lot
want
of
all
points.
Of it. A lot of points.
72. It's got to be the highest over-under in college football this
You
year.
had one earlier in the year that was
killing
like
me, man.
76.
Yeah,
I don't
and
even
it
remember
didn't
who
cash.
was.
It didn't cash.
I don't know that this one is either, but I'm intrigued.
I'm taking a look at Kentucky at Texas.
Yuck.
Texas has been playing a little shaky last week. I mean, they killed Florida, obviously, but that win against Arkansas was kind of gross. I want to see if Kentucky can muck it up for them as well.
I'll give
Guys,
you another reason later.
I don't even know who they play this weekend, but Duke's 7-3. Did we know this?
Yeah.
We knew they were a pretty good team.
Yeah.
Manny Diaz, year one after Mike Elko left, 7-3.
Yeah.
Quarterbacks looked good. Who do they got this weekend? I'll be taking a peek.
You don't
Taking
even
a
know who
peek.
they have.
Nope. I just saw 7. I saw 7-3, and I was like, you know what? Not half bad, Manny Diaz.
Good job,
I thought
Bryce.
you know the first run at Miami didn't look so great for your head coaching career. To be
Do you know
honest
that
with
they're like a blocked PAT away from being potentially in the conference championship game?
Hell yeah.
They had SMU on the ropes. We're about to go to overtime. SMU blocks the PAT.
I think that was my favorite quote from a coach last year when Dabo Swinney told us he was 3 plays away from a national title. You guys remember that?
Yeah, I do
After
remember that.
Tyler from Spartanburg was cooking my man, he was like, I mean, hell, we're 3 plays away. We're 3 plays away from being undefeated right now.
Mm-hmm.
Blasphemous.
Thank you for that, Dabo.
Is this a new position you're going to do, like standing up or?
I mean, I don't know. I think it's best when we do bits like this when we don't acknowledge them, and we just hang out, and then the it's just a little gimme or a little Easter egg for the in-home audience or the actual watching audience. And it's my opportunity to show people just how big this place
I was about to
is.
say, ceilings, good, really good
Yeah,
height.
it looks like you're in a different room right now.
Honestly.
I mean, we're on an elevated platform. Still can't even see the ceiling in here.
Hell
That's
yeah.
elite stuff right there.
Unless it doesn't happen.
Bring it on. What do you got?
Hey, hear me right now. Hear my roar. All right, check me out.
Hear my roar?
You heard it here first. Jeremiah Smith, 200 yards, 2 tutties this weekend against the Hoosiers. The Buckeyes roll.
Ooh.
Do the roar.
Roll by what? 17?
Yeah.
He forgot.
Straight up
he
roll.
forgot he made it.
Straight up roll.
The dust hasn't quite settled yet. When you've got 2 weeks left in the season, a conference championship spot, you're eyeing it down. You think that, just got to roll through these next 2 weeks. We're cruising, maybe getting into the college football playoff if we play our cards right. But that couldn't be further from the truth. You're fighting for a win, but the other team on the other side of the football field is fighting for bowl eligibility, something that they haven't achieved since 2021. This is for all the marbles right now. That's a dangerous game to be playing with.
Ooh.
And that's why I'm saying, give me Virginia over SMU.
For the 4th week in a row, we got them Cavaliers with the upset. Can you do it? Probably not.
They're going to do it eventually, man.
Got
you
to.
Keep swinging. You got to hit one.
One of these days, we're going to be right on the Virginia. Come on, who's?
Virginia. I've been very hot on this team. I backed off of them. I got back on the wagon. You know what?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Strap him in.
Yes.
Strap
yes,
him in. Go on.
Yes.
Go on, slap them
Tap
fades, baby.
me
Come on.
in.
Tap him in. Let's go.
I'm not getting on the wagon. Colorado is destroying Kansas
boo.
this weekend. Everyone thinks it's an upset. It's not happening. Colorado's too good. Kansas can't turn in this many consecutive wins. They haven't been able to do it all season. I'm sorry. I'm not buying it, Jayhawks. I love you. I had so much hopes for you in the season, but it's not happening. See you later, J-Will.
He's Paul Feinbonding.
He's
Paul
quitting.
Feinbombing. He's quitting his own show.
Absolutely disgraceful.
Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I'm not buying it. I can't do it.
Lance Leipold is throwing up right now listening to this. That is disgusting.
I'm sorry, man.
I had another unless it doesn't happen, but it got stolen.
You were on the Cavalier?
No. I left it. I shouldn't say it got stolen. It got stolen pre-show. I left it up.
Good. Thank you.
Who's got some more?
Oh, I got one.
Come on
I
now.
got 2
feed
more.
me.
You know, everyone wants to give the Big Ten crap for some of the teams having a walkthrough of a schedule, but one of these teams has been doing it the right way. They've been going through the gauntlet. They've played 3 ranked teams this year. They got wins against 2 of them. They've only lost one against 1 ranked opponent, and it was 3 points on the road. I mean, this is a battle-tested team right here, and it's in the month of November. They got another ranked opponent, but this one's at home. And they're coming for blood this weekend. And this is a bad scene to be in November, especially for a team that's in the top 5. Golden Gophers routes Penn State.
Whoa.
Ooh, gold.
You heard it here first. Try playing up in the Big Ten when it's cold. Try.
Hard. It's really hard.
So says
one-
Big Ten fans.
No one can do it.
Real cold.
Nobody can
I
do
love
it.
this take, by the way, as if like Georgia is south of the equator, like it's Brazil down here or some shit. It's like, ooh, Georgia going to have to play in a cold game against Notre Dame in this hypothetical playoff matchup so suddenly. Man, what they going to look like in December in the cold.
Dude, a snow game in Athens? That town wouldn't know how to act. Ooh.
Be acting a fool.
They close everything down. That's what we do in Georgia.
Nah, I'm
See, I
walking
also
my dog.
love this one. Oh, the South can't handle the snow. Every time it snows, they got us close their school. Motherfuckers, we don't have snow plows. We don't have them. If it snows, our roads are screwed. It's
Buddy,
not that we
don't
can't
even
drive.
have snow shovels.
We ain't even got snow shovels, no snow shoes, no none of that.
We aren't used to snow in the south, and you aren't used to titles in the north. It is what it is.
We got a special treat for the folks tonight, boys.
Hold on.
We
I
still
got
got
one.
we still got some.
I know, but I'm just telling you, we got a special treat for them.
Okay.
That's why I'm so hyped.
Look, just because you burnt through yours already, don't mean we can't still cook.
go on, cook them up.
You-
All right, this
Oh,
is a
yeah,
team
you
that's
got
had a down season thus far. It's been utterly disappointing, but you know what? They're going to hit a milestone on Saturday.
Come on.
They're going to do it. The Florida State Seminoles are going to reach 30 points for the first time this season on Saturday. You heard it here first.
They haven't scored 30 points in a single game?
Nope.
Oh, my God. That bad.
Yeah.
That bad.
Buddy, you're flirting with the devil. You're fading Kansas and saying Florida State's offense is going to
Bring
score
it
30
on,
points.
baby. Bring them on.
You just put a hex on yourself. I mean, my gosh.
Trying to ride the dragon this
Don't
weekend
worry.
over here.
I believe in dragons.
What if I told you a
You
team?
believe in dragons?
It's a deep cut. Don't worry.
Oh,
What if I told you a team was going to play the second best defense they've seen all year, this late in November? A scrappy unit that's easy to overlook, and
Real
one
lunch pail.
that probably seems like, oh, it's just a little puddle in the water. We can just drive right through this one. Nah, this is black ice, fam. You ain't going to see this one coming. You're going to be swerving off the roads, hitting a freaking telephone pole maybe.
Oh, my God.
I think that Kentucky is going to give Texas the absolute sweater of their life. I don't think they win, but they're a 20-point dog on the road right now. I think it's going to be a close one.
homemade Nana sweater that she knit herself. That's what you're going to be up in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't believe that. I think Kentucky gets smoked this weekend, but hey, Kentucky, one of those football teams this year that it's flip a coin. You either get good Kentucky or bad Kentucky. So maybe they get good Kentucky this week.
They might.
flip
Brock
I think they
Vandegrift healthy?
I have no idea.
Love the take.
Doesn't
bro.
matter.
Love the take.
Doesn't matter.
That's an unless it doesn't happen where you're just like, hey, you know what? We might hit a hole in one today. Get the camera ready.
Yeah.
You know? That kind of thing.
Because
Today
if you-
might be the day.
Because if you predict calling a hole in one, dude, like, you're the coolest guy ever.
Yeah, I always, every time I line up on a par 3, I'll be like, hey, go on, get this one about the hole.
I usually top this one off the tee box, but this might be the one. If I get a hold of it, I might hit Buddy on the green on this par 5.
Hell yeah.
Ooh.
You got one for me?
I got one for you.
It been savoring. It been cooking all week. Oh, he went ISO.
In the this. Oh, okay.
He went ISO.
April of 1775. A group of colonies has decided that they will no longer be oppressed by British rule. Many believe that this army was too weak. It's too small. They'll never be able to do it. This name brand is much too big. But you know what? That little army shocked the world. And today we are provided with the same opportunity. Army is going up against another big name brand to save us from the talons of Notre Dame. Guess what, guys? Nearly 300 years later, these people haven't learned. Army can't do it. They're too small. Dream on. Let them doubt, I say. Let them doubt you, Army, because in America, the only thing we love more than our troops is a good underdog story. And the Army Black Knights are going to save our country by knocking Notre Dame out of the playoff this Saturday. You heard it here first, unless it doesn't happen.
Cook those Irish frauds.
I had to do it, man. I've been saving that one up since Tuesday.
Hey, man, here's the deal about life. You got to speak it into existence. It don't happen unless you put it into the ether. Here we are as a collective unit and football family. To hell with Notre Dame. Come on, Army.
Hell yeah, baby.
Woo!
For America.
Oh, man.
I don't know if I've ever seen you get so excited.
I love the troops.
Bro, that was a hell of a cook.
Love my country.
That boy cooking. We have a special thing going on tonight.
Ooh.
What's that?
We got football Q for BA.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's what we got. We got football Q for BA. It's an email account I set up a while back. Literally football FORQ. Football Q for BA. I said that wrong. Football Q FORBA. And we got some good ones for you guys tonight. Let's take it to the board.
Oh, we're going to the board now.
Dude, did the camera freeze in the middle of that take?
No, not in the middle of it.
Oh, just when I responded
Yeah,
to the
like
take?
as soon as he ended.
That would have made me a little upset because my
He
man
had
was
me amped
absolutely
up, bro.
cooking. Bro was too amped. He was kicking cables up underneath the table over there.
Yeah,
All right,
kicking his feet on the team.
so we got some football Q for BA today. Let's start with this one right here. This one comes from Caleb Mathis over there on football Q for BA. Wants to talk about what are POMs and POMs coverage. So POMs coverage, ladies and gentlemen, is used most of the time against 2x2 sets. Okay, so we got an X over here, we got a slot with the Y over here with the Z. Now, the key is to be able to, it's a very multiple defense. Now, I didn't play defensive back, but I'm going to give you the primary objectives in this defense. Now, this corner is going to sit with his butt to the sideline about 6-7 yards off that primary receiver out there. Again, butt to the sideline with outside leverage. Same thing over here. We'll put the corner over here. Now, this is a middle field open coverage, which means cover 2, right? The middle field is going to be open. So we're going to put one free safety over here, and we're going to put one strong safety over here. here. Mike's in the box. Will's in the box. Now, the nickel defender, okay, will go to the strength of the formation. And you'll say, well, Brooks, they're in duos. So there really is no strength of the formation. Where's the back? That'll tell us one thing. There's no back on the screen right now, but normally that'll dictate strength or
field or boundary.
Field or boundary. That's right, Kirby. So we're going to say the field right now is to the left. Now, Palm's coverage really speaks to the safeties and the corners right here. If number one goes vertical, the corner out here is if number two pushes vertical, number one is automatically locked on man-to-man with this wide receiver out here. Wherever he goes, he's going to follow him. All right. Now, if this number two wide receiver goes out, all right, and if the number two wide receiver goes out, Kirby, what is the number one receiver most likely doing?
He's going up.
He's either going vertically or he's going in, right? He's either going vertically or he's going in. If that is the case, all right, these corners, one of the key things I forgot to mention is their butts to the sideline and they're reading through the number two receiver into the eyes of the quarterback, okay? Reading to see what this number two wide receiver does. If he goes vertical on this side, like I said, we're locked on man-to-man with this corner over here. Now, what happens if he goes out? We're reading through number two into the eyes of the quarterback. That's why our butts to the sideline. If he goes out, we're going to communicate to our safety who's going to roll over. Hey, out, out, out. I'm sinking down right now on this number two wide receiver. This really helps with quick game concepts, Kirby. When a lot of teams live in duos, play with a lot of pace, we have an opportunity to really show multiple looks. Sometimes when this ultimately happens, right, if everyone pushes vertical, it looks a whole lot like quarters, all right? And sometimes you can get that mistaken.
This is where you often get the kill shots from the corners on these out routes. I think this was similar to what the Daniel Harris play was against Florida.
Yes.
Where they run a screen and he just absolutely obliterates a guy because he's reading the quarterback like this. So.
Absolutely. Trying to eliminate quick game screens, trying to eliminate those really easy completions while also protecting ourselves vertically, okay? It requires a ton of communication and a ton of work together with these two safeties, all right? It also requires you, obviously, to be able to play the run with a relatively light box, okay? We can't play Palms coverage. We can't play too high coverage if you're running the piss up out the rock. If you're running the rock like that, we got to close the middle of the field, put a safety into the box to help stop with that run. Again, we're playing football Q for BA right here on the network. Now, on to our next question. And honestly, this is probably our most frequently asked question here on the network, and it regards defensive line techniques. You hear me talk a lot about 3 techniques, 5 techniques, 0 techs, all that good stuff. What in the hell is Brooksy actually talking about? Let's widen these things up a little bit so we can really get into the weeds right here. Let's go big circles. Let's spread the splits out just a little bit. All right, here we go. We got a 0 technique right there, head up on the center. We have a 1 technique. Some coaches call that a shade technique, outside shoulder of that center. A 2-eye technique is inside shoulder of the guard. All right, a head up 2 is a head up positioning on that guard. A 3 technique is the outside shoulder of that guard. The inside shoulder of the tackle is a 4-eye. All right, the head up positioning of the tackle is a 4. The outside shoulder of the tackle is a 5 technique. Now hold your horses, folks, because here's where it gets real football brained. And I, for the life of me, can't explain this one. I don't know why, but some football coach somewhere was just like, hey, if we make it nice and simple all the way up to the tackle, let's really mess with people's brains out there at the tight end position. You would think this would go 5 or 6 6 7. That's not how it goes. Head up 6, inside 7, a wide 9. 7 6 9 out there at the tight end position. Okay, now here's the advanced level. Everybody can do that one. Everybody will explain to you. But why are we odd? Why are we even? What's the eye technique? What's all this stuff? So the eye's simple. It's inside. We just want to play with the inside leverage. Now, here's what apparently I've been told that the originators of the techniques and why they labeled them. Here's why they labeled them, okay? If you are an even number, okay, if you're head up, you're going to basically 2-gap. You're going to come off the line of scrimmage with a good, even, parallel base. You're going to play that man in front of you. If he goes down, we're going down with him. If he goes out, we're going out with him. If he base blocks us, we're going to base block him and hold him where he's at. If you remember and go back to that Georgia-Texas game, they're playing a zero, they're playing head-up fours, and they're walking the linebackers outside. They're playing a lot of bear front, okay, is what that looks like. Well, if you watch those defensive linemen the entire game, they're playing almost pseudo-surf technique, Jonathan. Their shoulders are square. They're responding to the offensive lineman in front of them. Christian, do you know why they played that technique specifically in that football game?
So you can read what kind of runs they're giving you?
Precisely, but not just what type of run, the specific run that Texas has, which is outside zone, right? We don't want guys darting upfield, switching gaps, doing anything like playing too aggressive against wide zone. We want to be able to read that guy in front of us and stretch the play. So that handles these even front guys, right? These even numbers. Now, let's talk about these odd numbers. Let's talk about this 3 technique, this 5 technique, this 9 technique, and this 7 technique. These guys are going to play much more aggressive. They're going to get off the ball and really get into the chest of that guard, really trying to reset the line of scrimmage, play at a much more aggressive angle. That's why they're on the angle. Guys, they're out there to recreate and create separation, or rather create disruption as football players. We're in attack mode in those odd positions, whereas we're in react mode in those even positions. Does that make sense, ladies and gentlemen?
Yes, sir.
All right. Again, that's the most frequently asked question that we get on this network. All right, so the next one, I don't necessarily need the board for it, but we'll talk about it right here at the board. So I got asked from my man, and I forgot to give the name of my last gentleman that gave us that good question about techniques. That one's from our boy Brent Bishop, but again, that one comes to us all the time on this network. This one comes from Drew Rowell. I think is how we're going to pronounce that last name, Drew Rowell. He basically asked, what's the difference between a run stunt and a pass stunt, okay? When we throw a stunt in the run game versus when we throw a stunt in the pass game, this can be explained really, really simply with one word. What would you think that word would be, John or Christian?
I would say verticalness.
Depth, right? Depth. How far we're going. In run stunts, we don't want to get 2 or 3 yards up the field. But in pass game, we can really, really get much more aggressive because we're throwing those stunts in downs with which we expect a pass.
Is verticalness even a word?
Verticalness? Verticality?
I don't know, dude. I just
Think you
my
might have
brain's
pulled a
shorted
Brooks
on
one.
depth. So
Brooks won a word battle?
No, I was just saying.
No way.
You be doing use a made up word, but
Oh, he went Brooks there, is what you were saying.
yeah.
He went full Brooks there. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, so there is football Q for BA. We have a whole nother hour coming up right now. It is our local hour. We finna talk that dog. See you on the other side. Welcome into Talk the Dog, the show where we find a bone to pick and a take to give. These are not hot takes. These is dog takes. Can I talk that dog? What's up? You really like that? Let's shut up and grind some tape. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back into the Film Guy Network. We got 50 solid-ass minutes coming your way right now. We finna talk that dog. Could Carson Beck possibly have reignited his NFL evaluation after this past weekend? We'll talk about that. Coming up, the coming out party candidates for this weekend's game. We'll preview a group of names to know as signing day approaches. We'll play a little Georgia trivia tonight, as well as go through our game ball predictions. Let's start with the recent news about Carson Beck. Obviously had a really good football game last weekend against Tennessee, and it's impacted his draft status. I believe Todd McShay recently came out and said that he still got him in the first round of his evaluations. Is that correct?
Yes, he has him going 20th overall to the Los Angeles Rams. So there would be 3 Georgia quarterbacks in that quarterback room.
All right, so here's what I think should be said about this. NFL scouts and general managers are definitely smart enough to recognize that the deterioration of the roster and the things around Carson were obvious from last year to this year. It wasn't just that, hey, maybe this guy's not playing as well as he was last year. They're certainly smart enough to understand offensive line was banged up. They lead the nation in drops. Okay, there's certain issues around Carson that are creating the issues. However, if you're drafting in that like top 10 range, you're not just looking for guys that can come in and make really good football players slightly better. You're looking for true definition of elevators. You're in that position to draft in that position more than likely if you didn't trade up because your parts around the quarterback are not very good, or you're really, really bad at quarterback. Either way, that player comes in and has to now elevate everyone else around him. And as of right now, when things were crumbling around, or not necessarily crumbling, I don't think it was ever that bad, but when things weren't necessarily going well around Carson this year, I don't think we've seen Carson just grab the bull by the horns and elevate the entire roster with his own individual play. It's been very much, hey, Carson didn't play this well or very well this weekend, but neither did everybody else. Very rarely have I came in here and said, hey, everybody around Carson was some shit this weekend, but damn, did he play great. We haven't had that conversation yet, okay? Now, that being said, he's certainly, by all accounts, a top 15, top 20 evaluation for me at this point because I know that he's really, really good. I don't know if he's great at this point when things around him aren't great, and that's what I think this playoff push could potentially allow him to answer. Are you an elevator? Can you go out and prove that you're exactly that, an elevator?
And that's why I think maybe Carson is better fit to be like a 20th overall pick, a 15th overall pick, because those are the teams that are drafting that already have a solid foundation likely around the team because they were good enough to either be right on the cusp of the playoffs or maybe they were a first-round exit in the playoffs. They're just kind of missing that one piece. And that seems like a team where you could take a Carson Beck and you plug him in and you have a lot of success. But if you're the New York Giants and you're looking at the first overall pick, Carson Beck is likely not the person that you want because he ain't going to be the person that solves all your problems, and that's okay.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, though, because, yes, Carson Beck certainly hasn't done himself favors throughout this season. I don't think that's crazy to say. I kind of feel like his trajectory has been very similar to the Matthew Stafford draft. And obviously Matthew Stafford went overall there, where the talent in that 2008 season didn't really live up to the hype that it was. Like, everyone coming in thought Georgia was going to be this national title contender. I think they ended up losing 3 games, two at least that season. And it was a lot to do with the talent around Stafford didn't really look great. And because of that, Stafford struggled in some games. I think that this is very similar to what Carson Beck's gone through. Now, Stafford was able to still prove that he's worthy of being the number one contender or number one overall pick. I don't know if Carson can do the same, but he's certainly got plenty of opportunity to do that. I mean, if he's lights out for the rest of this schedule and the Dogs make a national championship push and then you go out in the combine and you look really impressive, he could absolutely still be the number one overall quarterback.
I did think there was an interesting quote from
get to this because this was interesting to say the least. This is an individual that you're about to quote that came into the season with Carson as his number one quarterback and now doesn't know if he's going to draft him in the top 4 rounds.
So Dane Brugler was the draft analyst that said he was the top quarterback, and now I think he would be a 4th or 5th round draft pick.
All right, so I've seen Dane Brugler's work. I don't know Dane.
And this was a week ago, by the way.
I don't know Dane Brugler. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing his last name correctly. If I am, I hope I am. But I'm gonna say something about this. If you enter after watching 13 games, if you enter another season thinking someone is your number one quarterback on the board, and then you watch another 9 games, 10 games, and you think that player is all the way now evaluated as a 4th round selection, your process is totally f***ed up.
Agreed.
The amount of distortion in your opinion of a football player based off of it can't be that much film, man. It can't be that much film. You can't go from the number 1 overall selection to a 4th rounder. All right, off of 10 games. I don't think you can do that.
To a 4th rounder at best.
At best.
Now, I mean, you can do things that drop you off into the 4th round. That's certainly possible. And I mean, Carson Beck, again, we've talked about, hasn't done himself a lot of favors this year as far as draft stock goes, but I would be shocked if you get to the third round and he's still on the board.
Man, you thought he went from a franchise difference maker worthy of $35 million to a guy that you might not draft in the fourth round?
To a guy you might get for a backup?
You've got an evaluation issue, in my opinion.
Yeah, this is from The Athletic, by the way. It was written a week ago, and it was literally titled, "Let's Dig Into Carson Beck's Draft Stock." This is a quote from a veteran NFL scout. "I would dig into the NIL stuff and how seriously he's been approaching football and eliminating the distractions and being focused on what he should be focusing on." Sounds like a guy that's been reading a lot of Twitter.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The
That's all
TikTok.
Twitter.
Yeah.
The TikTok. All right. I think he's got an opportunity to elevate his draft status or re-elevate his draft
we've
status.
learned that this is the most important stretch of football games that college
facts.
players can play in. I mean, we saw what it did for Michael Penix last year. He turned into a top 10 pick just because he went and played. He was great all year, but there was some stagnant to his stat line last year.
I think the primary example is C.J. Stroud against Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
C.J. Stroud, I mean, I left that game thinking I
would've drafted him number one
Bryce
overall.
Young, but I'm not passing up this guy. This
Yeah.
guy's insane. It was the mental acumen, it was the ability to make guys miss, it was throwing on the run, it was throwing with timing, it was everything.
Not only that, he did everything that you thought he couldn't do in that game.
Correct.
Like the entire thing was C.J. Stroud's a statue, and they're not going to be able. If Georgia can get to him, they're going to have problems. He was mobile enough all night to cause problems for that defense. So.
Yeah, if you play well in the month of December against the top 12 teams in college football.
Which Carson Beck has been kind of labeled a statue, and what he did against Tennessee last week shows that he's very much not one. He can be a threat on the ground with his legs. So this could be like a monumental switch for Carson Beck. And I mean, people jumped off the ship after a handful of bad games. I think it was like a 5 or 6 game stretch where it was like, hey, what's going on? We've got a couple interceptions there. But in the middle of that, he did have 300-yard. He had 2 400-yard performances in that stretch. So, I mean, it's always been there. He just hasn't been able to play a complete game yet. And if he can do that for these next, 5 or 6, maybe 7 games that you have, you're going to make yourself a lot of money.
All right, I got a topic that I want to throw at you guys that I did not prepare you for.
Ooh, I like these.
All right, so obviously Colby Young, the original lady that was involved in the incident, has obviously acquitted or issued a statement and relieved him of all doubt or all fault in the incident and claimed that nothing happened and encouraged the DA to drop the charges. Kirby Smart has mentioned that this individual, Colby, is still using the facilities, but the district attorney in Athens is still actively pursuing the case. My question to you guys is, if that case gets dropped, do you immediately reinstate Colby Young?
I think you would have to first, or at least how I would approach this is, you would have to have a period of time where, first of all, you talk to Colby, you kind of just have a conversation with him about how the past few months have gone, what his takeaways are from this, like if there's any learning points, things like that. But then you also have to go through a period of time where you have to earn this back now, in my opinion. You know, you kind of have to get your spot back. I mean, it's not just
the spot back, not on the team.
Yeah, not on the team, but earn your spot back on the depth chart. It's not just, you can't just take a guy back in and immediately say you're now the starter again. So I think that there has to be a process of Colby Young like getting into a starting role again for Georgia. It can't just be as simple as, all right, that's been dealt with now. He's back at number 1 as X.
Well, you would imagine he, from a health and safety standpoint, anyways, he'd have to.
Yeah, they're not going to throw him in the
he'd
fire.
have to spend a couple
immediately.
weeks getting back into football shape.
Part of me says you would. I mean, if it happens, if the news comes out today, Colby Young isn't touching the field till the regular season ends, anyways. Even if you reinstate him in this very moment. So I would say that you unofficially reinstate him. So you say we're still working with Colby. We're trying to get him back to where he's at a position where he can play with us. And the second that you think that he's physically ready, then you reinstate him. I mean, he's already using all the facilities at this point. It seems like he's not with the team, but he's still around the team. It seems.
Yeah.
So I mean, I would say it looks weird to immediately, as soon as the hey, this case has been dropped, to immediately jump, all right, he's back on the team. I would say start a process to get him ready to be back on the team and contribute. And then when he's ready at that point, okay, you're reinstated.
You know it's not going to go over very well, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Coming out candidates this weekend. Who's going to have one of them? One of them football games.
This is the Jake Pope game, baby.
By the way, really well done by you guys tackling a really sensitive issue that I threw at your feet in the middle of a live show.
When I was like, I love
know.
these. I was like, oh, here comes
Usually
a
when
fun
you venture into a
hypothetical.
topic like that, you vet it out, you talk about it. You guys did a really, really, really good job right there.
Well,
Thanks,
thank
man.
you.
Thank you. But no, back to it. This is the Jake Pope Renaissance game, baby. He flashed in the spring game with the Beehive. He's coming back. No Beehive needed this time, but he's going to get some minutes. Obviously, like, this is where you try to get your whole entire 95 on the field. He's going to get some minutes. He's going to make some plays. Jake Pope, Renaissance game.
Give me a Justin Williams this week.
Come on.
I think that the reason why I'm picking a linebacker is because I think that UMass is going to be running the football a lot, especially like when we start getting into the second half of this game when a lot of these rotations are going to be made. I think Justin Williams is going to be a flashy player because he's going to be helping out in the run game, and he's going to be in a position to where he can make impactful plays. I'm interested to see what is happening here right now.
Should I put the camera on you? Or?
Yeah, like a new guest shot.
All right, we'll get that ready then.
I just felt like being closer to you on your birthday, Jonathan.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, big Jaw Jackson football game this weekend, huh?
Could be.
Come on now.
Wait, is it a big Jaw Jackson game or is it a big Jaw Jackson game?
I see what you're doing there because he's a big man.
He is.
Yeah, it's a
huge man.
big Jaw Jackson game because I would imagine Ernest Green's still probably getting healthy. Why not spend the week to get him a little extra healthy right now while you got the opportunity to do so? But yeah, huge Jaw Jackson game this weekend. Monroe Freeling, I was told, sources indicating the starting five looking like it was the same starting five from Tennessee based off indications and intel coming out of practice. So those of you that wanted Monroe Freeling to continue to be the starter, sounds like that's still the case or will be the case this weekend. That means next up when the business gets handled, like you hope it gets handled, is big Jaw Jackson.
Is he really next up?
I think so. I mean, based off what happened at Clemson, right? I know Bo Hewley was banged up during fall camp, so that might have been a little different. So either way, I think we get some Bo Hewley action. We might see some Jaw Jackson action.
I love that.
I also
love
think
that.
this is, I hope I don't step on your toes with this one because you've been a big proponent of this guy. This could be the Daniel Calhoun game.
Yeah.
Obviously, Daniel Calhoun's not usually going to make plays in game because offensive linemen just don't have that luxury. But I could very well see that when we're watching film on Sunday or Monday, you say, oh my God, Daniel Calhoun had a game.
You mean when Jonathan and I are watching film? You don't watch film.
True.
You don't watch
He just watches it for the
I don't watch
DD
it
counter.
live.
Yeah.
I watch the clips afterwards. How else
Yeah.
we getting the Diddy counter?
I mean, you're just a bum.
Apparently.
So says the chat.
It's tough.
Can we get a little bump down on that now that I bumped my chair down just a tad? I feel like I got a little short man syndrome. It's also proximity to Jonathan. I mean, we ain't got to go that low. Proximity to Jonathan makes me feel small.
That's all right.
That's fair. He is a large human.
Yes, he is.
You got to sit up
Thank you.
around him.
Quintavious Johnson is also on my list.
Hell yeah.
Another defensive player. That's kind of the side of the football that I wanted to focus on just because I think that the defensive side of the ball is a lot more predictable as far as players that could be making plays on Saturday when you're playing a team like UMass. Quintavious Johnson, one of these guys. He was someone that was getting on the field a little bit earlier on in the season as well.
Sneaky freaky, you know? 6'5", like 245 pounds, elite mover as well.
Yeah, I'll never forget watching Friday Night Lights last year when you went to like that noon
my
kick
God, I
with
about
him and
died.
it was hot as
I about
balls
died in
that
that
day.
football game, dude.
But he just absolutely took over.
That was Saturday one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Saturday. It was 105 degrees heat index on turf field. It was a 1 o'clock kick in the middle of August. I was wearing all black as I usually do, and I had sweat stains in my all black shirt by the time I left.
I bet.
I had gotten to the point of dehydration where you stop sweating and you just dry out at that point. It was gnarly stuff. Also, one of the games where a Mays football coach hit a player and got kicked off.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's an interesting football
I'm
game.
shocked
Oh,
the
I
camera
forgot
equipment
about
did
that.
not overheat.
Were you out there with me?
No, I was
Oh,
not,
no, that was my
but-
man Jacob Campbell.
Yeah.
Shout out JC if you're listening right now.
Read that super sub.
This comes from 910 Cooper. Says this one's for J Will to buy his first legal beer. Live it up.
Thank you. I can't wait for my
Into
first one.
the Kobe year this year, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some more super chat. I brought in some dough for the company tonight. So it might be time for us to have a conversation.
Negotiations are starting.
It is almost the new
Active
year.
live negotiations on man's birthday. Talk about holding a gun to your employer.
Well played, Jay. Well
Well played. Request denied. No, I'm
That's
just
okay.
kidding.
I'll still be here.
We'll contemplate. We'll take a look at the metrics.
Thank you. I'll just slip it on your desk.
Some of
We'll have
these
a
super
conversation.
chubs, I think all these super chubs are happy B-days to you. So that's
That's what
awesome.
I'm saying, man.
Yeah, I guess nobody really cares to talk football today. They just want to tell you happy birthday.
I love my people. I love these people. So I appreciate them.
Big
a lot.
birthday weekend for the show.
Yeah.
When's your birthday, Curb?
It's in December.
Oh,
Oh, coming up.
November, December, guys.
Yeah.
Who knew? Who knew? Just connected around here. I think Zacoby White has an explosive play.
He's such an easy one for
Yeah.
this segment
He's
because
good.
it's one pass to Sokovia or one punt return, and bam. Everybody's like, oh, Sokovia White. Can't wait for this one. Get the man on the field.
It's gonna be that one. Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be the one where it's like, why is he not on the field more? What's going on?
Take it from Kirby since he doesn't do anything.
Golly, dude.
Man,
This is tough, man.
beat the allegations, why don't
There's
you?
no way I can beat these allegations.
Beat the allegations, why don't you? National Signing Day is coming up, boys.
Nobody telling Kirby I can beat.
Do we want to do our Georgia recruiting class and review, or do we want to continue with our game topics? Because we have game balls to give out and we have final thoughts.
We also have trivia to do if you want to do that.
Let's go ahead and give the game balls.
All
and
right,
then
let's
we can
go ahead and give
transition.
game balls out. Offensively, I'm giving it to Jaden Riddell for a big explosive or two. Jaden Riddell looks like one of them ones during pregame warmups. I'm wondering. I'm interested to see if he continues to look like one of them ones.
Ooh, that's a big one. He is good. I mean, it is kind of like, obviously, the two tight end system is what it is right now. You did kind of rotate in three last year with Brock getting hurt. That third guy hasn't really got, well, I guess Jurasic is your third guy right now. So, but Jaden Riddell is going to be someone to watch in the near future here for Georgia. So I like that one. Definitely going to get some burn here. I went Nitro Tuggle. He's flashed just a couple of times in these past few games against Tennessee and against Florida. Oh, you're in our shot now, man. Oh, he's going on the desk. It's making me work.
Boy, it is so the end of the week.
He's flashed a couple of times against Tennessee, against Florida, but I think really he's probably going to have his biggest game this week just because it's UMass. He's going to get more opportunities. These are types of games where coaches say, hey, let's see what you
You're
got.
slightly
kids. So-
in shot.
Oh, there's the elbow.
My offensive player game ball predictions for Nate Frazier. I think that this is how I predict it going. I
Cop
think
out.
Nate Frazier is just going to break one loose one time, and then he's going to sit on the bench. He's going to finish his day for like 3 carries for 75 yards and a touchdown. You're having some issues here, sir.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just giving takes. Delightful takes. Where are my notes? Can we flip over to the defensive side of the football?
Yes,
do
we
it.
can.
Any young defensive lineman, I think it's a big time interior defensive line showing this weekend. A lot of young guys getting a lot of burn. Maybe some of these old guys getting some reps off. I'm thinking Gabe Harris. Give me Gabe Harris for a
I had
game
him on
ball
my
this
list as
weekend.
well.
Playing like his hair's on fire. Give me Gabe Harris.
That's a good one. I went Kristen Miller. I think that this is a game where you're going to have UMass at some point that's really going to try to run the ball a lot. We know what it is. They're going to try to get out there quickly. It's going to be Kristen Miller having a big game, I think, or someone in that interior defensive line making a big impact early. So
I went with Chris Cole because I think it's a big day for Georgia to try and get healthy. So I think that, especially, and he's already been playing a lot too. So I know he's going to get in there early, but I think he's going to get a good chunk of playing time because he is still a freshman. He's already been flashing against SEC teams. I think he's going to really flash on Saturday when he gets a good chunk of playing time against a team like UMass.
Coach's game ball. Give me James Coley.
oh,
I think we got some young wide receivers having an explosive day on Saturday. And
Some
people are like,
Nitro and
wow,
Sokovia.
some development from this wide receivers room. Coley must be doing his job. Give me a game ball to James Coley. Who you got?
I went with Gummy Van Gorder, the quarterbacks coach. I think that he's a guy that it's gone underrated, but you're going to get the most quarterback play, or the most variety of quarterback play that you've had the entire season. So Gunnar Stockton's likely going to get some reps here. Carson Beck is obviously going to make a couple of throws just to see. Might even get some whoever's at the 3 spot. So I'm going Gummy Van Gorder, the Georgia quarterback coach.
Mine that I'm going with is none other than Scott Sinclair.
Oh,
because
yeah.
Nobody's getting hurt on Saturday. It's going to be a healthy football game for Georgia. They're going to be able to rest up some guys, and the guys that do get some reps on Saturday, it's just going to be a clean football game.
Ron Corson going to be bored as shit.
Amen.
Also, No sideline warnings.
Yeah, no sideline warnings either. He's going to be holding his position strong like he always does.
Who was the first to have a get back coach? Was it Saban?
Nah, Saban was too old for the get back.
You know the old Alabama staff with Alabama or with Nick Saban and Kirby Smart, they probably needed two of them to be honest.
Yeah, Kirby was nuts.
Yeah,
He
was a lunatic.
real young. It's a classic gif of him jumping in front of Nick.
Do you think they're gonna instill leashes at some point, like the retractable leash, like the?
I think just grabbing the belt.
I
will
think they just
suffice.
might as well get some shock collars.
You talking about one of them like kitty leashes that you take to like
Yeah,
Disney
like the
World when you're a
backpack.
bad parent?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're a bad parent. That's pretty funny.
Wait, your kids don't listen to you when you tell them to stop running, so you have to strap a leash to them?
Yeah,
Bad
and I'm
parent.
sure your child loves that, and it doesn't
Yeah.
make him feel rebellious at all.
No. Final thoughts on this football game, Curb? Handle business. That's mine.
That's literally what.
Go out, handle
literally my
business,
notes
get
say
out.
take care of business. This is one of those games where don't mess around. Don't try to do anything too extraneous. Don't put yourself at risk. You're a better team than them. Come in, get the dub, have it early, make everyone happy by the second half. Put a show on for some people who don't usually get to see Georgia games. This is their one opportunity to see the Dogs live. Take care of business. That's really all you got to do. It's about that simple. You can analyze this and say, how's the offense going to play? Is the defensive line going to get enough pressure? Is Carson Beck going to turn in? I mean, the reality is if you do what you're supposed to do, that's all that matters. What the hell happened?
What are you talking about, dude? Keep delivering your takes, man.
That's all I got.
Well, he only asked for yours, so
He
I don't have
doesn't
anything.
want you, J-Lo.
Yeah, he said, "What's your final thoughts on the game, Curb?" So,
What are your final thoughts? Sensitive?
oh, thank you. My final thoughts are take care of business. Yeah, don't mess around. Win the football game. Come out strong.
Should we do some recruiting notes for you guys?
Let's do some recruiting notes, yeah.
All right, let's do some recruiting notes. Georgia in the 2025 class currently has 26 commits, the number one class in college football. And I'm here to tell you right now on Thursday, November 21st, you are not done at the University of Georgia. Justice Terry feels really, really good right about now. The five-star defensive tackle out of Manchester, Georgia. I think Georgia's far and away in the front seat in that recruitment. I think you feel really good. I also think as National Signing Day approaches, you've got to pay close attention to several of these names, all right? And I'm not going to tell you where Georgia stands, who's the ones to really pay attention to. I'm just going to give you the names of potential flip targets. If you want the full details, head over to patreon.com/Brooks Austin. But you're at 26 commits, and I'm going to read off some names that you need to pay attention to. First and foremost, I think it's been very obvious that Georgia is attempting or at least pursuing a second quarterback in the 2025 signing class. For those of you who don't know, Ryan Montgomery tore his ACL this year in his senior year. So they know this is going to be a recovery year coming up for him. They feel as if they need to maybe pursue another quarterback. Julian Lewis goes to Colorado today. My man from Hawaii, I think, is ultimately going to go to Oregon, which leaves you potentially looking at a player like Kamario Taylor, who's out of Mississippi, currently committed to Mississippi State. That is the name I would pay attention to. I think after the recent visit from DJ Pickett this weekend, I think you have a seat at the table. I think you have a seat at the table there for that individual who's currently committed to LSU.
Right?
Currently committed to LSU. Another player committed elsewhere. Lagonza Hayward right now committed to Tennessee. Now, him and Christian Gass and Travis Smith all committed to Tennessee, all state of Georgia high school prospects, all on Georgia's board. I don't feel very good about where they sit with Travis Smith right now. Matter of fact, I don't even know if they're still in like heavy pursuit of Travis Smith Jr. So let's put him in a different category. I think they are still in heavy pursuit of Lagonza Hayward. However, Tennessee did a really good job this past weekend keeping some of their commits from going elsewhere, all right? How they did that, left to be undetermined. However, Lagonza Hayward, I was under the belief that was supposed to be on campus this past weekend in Athens, didn't ultimately show up. Christian Gass was another football player that made his name made the list of visits or players that were visiting the university this past weekend. I think he ultimately got to town. And of the three Tennessee football players, I would be circling Christian Gass with a pin, all right, for a potential flip for the University of Georgia. Glenn Schumann comes calling, you typically listen. Kevin Wynn, the defensive tackle that's currently committed to Florida State. I'd be paying attention to that one as the cycle closes, as would I Jeremiah McLeod, the defensive tackle that's committed to Florida out of Lee County High School. We told you about Dennis Uzochukwu last night. Watch that film of the Georgia State commit that is playing his high school football out there at Peachtree Ridge. I'd be paying attention to that one as well. Two names in the running back room that you need to pay attention to. Anthony Turbo Rogers just recently decommitted from Alabama and said that one's going to ultimately come down to Alabama, Ohio State, and Georgia. Be paying attention to that one. Jamarian Moore, a running back that's currently committed to Missouri, is on Georgia's board and potentially one to pay attention to there. Boys, 26 commits, a 5-star in tow in the form of Justice Terry. Feel like it's going to be 27 there. You feel good about it. There's also some work to be done with some potential flips. It's the number 1 class in America, and it's only going to get stronger.
Classic Kirby Smart and this staff closing strong like they always do in recruiting classes. And this is why I always think it's a little funny when we're sitting in the month of June or we're sitting in the month of May and things feel really quiet on Georgia's recruiting class. It's like, what's happening? Like, why are we losing some guys that we feel like we usually don't? Or why are things not picking up for us? Why do we only have 6 commits right now? And then they go on a tear in the summer, and then they do the same thing again in the middle of the football season or toward the end of the football season, right before National Signing Day. And Kirby Smart and everybody on that staff just absolutely turns it all up.
I think they were ranked 12th in June.
Yeah, I remember very early into the season we were like, hey, what's going on with the recruiting? And then we all said, you know what? What are we doing? It's Kirby Smart. It's a Kirby Smart staff. They're going to sort it out, and here we are come the end of the season. Signing day is a few weeks away, and they got the number 1 class, and it looks like they're probably pretty close to locking up the number 1 class. So,
yeah, I mean, you get Justice Terry in this class. It certainly feels like it'll be good enough to have the number 1 class.
Certainly does. I mean, again, it happens every single year. Kirby the closer and Kirby the flip master towards the end of the class is certainly something to pay attention to. I'm curious to see what happens with the running back development. Like, why are they going after more bodies? They have Bo Walker right now. They have Ousmane Kromah right now in this 2025 class, and they seem to be aggressively pursuing at least another body at the running back room position. Jonathan, Kirby, what are your thoughts on the idea that Georgia's continuing to pursue even another running back?
Well, I think what you've kind of learned over the last couple of years is that your depth at running back very quickly can be depleted. So taking 3 running backs in this class, it wouldn't surprise me too much because you're banking on 2 freshmen right now. Last year, you were down like 3 bodies consistently up until like the midpoint of the season. So getting as many bodies as you can in that running back room doesn't surprise me one bit.
yeah, we talked about how coming into the season, this is one of the deepest running back rooms they have, and here you are now. It's like, man, they don't really have much going on here just because of injuries have depleted it so much. So it doesn't surprise me that they'll probably end up taking 3 from here on out just because they've gotten burned so badly on recruiting, or not recruiting, but position depth the last 2 seasons.
So going into this year, I felt like a lot of people were asking questions about the defensive tackle room and the wide receiver room and things like that. They've made drastic strides in the 2025 class at those 2 particular positions, right? Elijah Griffin just committed a couple weeks ago. Seems like Justice Terry's going to be in the mix, as we mentioned a little bit earlier. And then you look over to the wide receiver side of the football, and they're going to take 5 guys, right? 5 guys right now in the class, 2 of which are top 60 overall football players in Taylon Taylor and CJ Wiley, which was one of the super chubs that came in. People were asking us basically, hey, do you think CJ Wiley and Taylon Taylor have an opportunity to make an immediate impact? I would say yes, for a variety of reasons, one of the main reasons CJ Wiley was going to Florida State was a promise of early playing time. I would imagine you didn't flip him without, a combination of Florida State being a wretched absolute show right now, and a combination of maybe meeting in the middle ground with a potential of early playing time. And then with Taylon Taylor, man, that guy is so well polished and has very few issues and problem areas in his overall game right now. I think he is somebody that could come in and make an immediate impact.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like it. I mean, and that's good to see because you're losing a lot of talent at that position this year. Like Dom Lovett, Arian Smith, we talked about Colby Young probably not going to be there. Like there's a lot of guys in this room that this was kind of their last year coming into it. So you have to replace it. So it makes sense as to why they're taking so many recruits. And they'll probably go into the portal as well.
Solid ass class, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite my guy right now? And you can take wife scouts too. Who's going to be the football player in this class? Because I got a name immediately when it comes to mind. Who's going to be the football player in this class that's just an absolute showstopper?
I'm thinking Elias Williams.
That was my guy.
I'm really interested about Talon Taylor and Landon Rolden, especially because the juice that those two have had on the football field this year of like taking over games consistently. I'm interested to see that. Those three names. I know it's all offensively, but woo.
How about you, Curb?
I think Usmani Kerma could be a guy that just pops immediately. It has a Nate Frazier-like game where it's like, holy shit, we get 2 or 3 more years of this guy. Sign me up. So I'm going to go with him.
I'm going to go through the list right here and see if I can already find a guy that I like that's like way down the list. That's going to be a good candidate for a my guy. The fact that Juan Gaston's outside the top 100 is blasphemous. Absolute blasphemy. Some people see that guy put on some weight and they're like, oh, maybe he's a guard. No, he ain't. He's 6'8". How many 6'8" offensive guards are there in this world?
Like one maybe?
Goofy
I don't know.
ass shit. Dominic Kelly reclassed into this group. He's obviously a kid out of IMG Academy. Ooh, I know who it is. We've seen a lot of Dontrell Glover from Langston Hughes. That's a 3-star in this 24/7 consensus rankings right about now. That's a mean
That's what
son
I'm
of a
about to say.
bitch right
you
there,
want to talk
man.
about a mean football player. He is the epitome of it.
And, maybe a long shot, J.J. Haney, the German defensive tackle.
Could be one of those like, holy hell, this
Where
is why
did Georgia
Georgia's
get
so
this
good.
guy from?
I mean,
Germany?
coming into college, going to be like an 18-year-old baby-faced kid that's only been in America for like 36 months.
Yeah.
And then they're going to put him in Georgia's strength and conditioning department.
Boy.
Look
Oh,
out
boy.
now. Look out now. We have nostalgic tape.
We have
Oh, yeah.
nostalgic tape and we also have trivia, whichever one.
Oh,
you'd like
dude,
to
hit
do.
me with trivia.
Run
I
the
forgot.
trivia.
We got trivia tonight. I got a feeling I'm going to get absolutely doggy walked on this one. I don't love my trivia game with regards to Georgia. I'm not even going to expose myself out here with what happened this weekend at a tailgate. So
I don't know. I think that there's opportunity for you to get some points here because there's a lot of this is some recency stuff that you've been covering the team for. So we'll start with the first question, kind of an easy one. Who was the last non-SEC team to defeat Georgia in the regular season?
non-SEC team to
In the
beat
regular
Georgia in the
season?
Boise
Regular
State.
season. Who?
Boise State.
Nope. It was in the Kirby Smart era.
Oh, Georgia Tech.
Oh yeah, I should have guessed that
2016.
one. That's on me.
Lost your last regular season game. This is the favorite question I've got crafted
right.
tonight.
Okay, should have saved this one for last. No,
Yeah, I should have, but it was so good.
pop it off now. Go on.
Who was the last true freshman at Georgia to rush for 100 yards in a game?
Brian Herrion,
Nope.
True freshman.
not Nate Frazier. Oh, Branson Robinson.
Nope. He had
He
98.
came close.
Oh dang.
Came really close.
Sony.
Nope.
I'm out of guesses.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I've tapped out. I'm gonna give you some.
Let's just start. You said it wasn't Brian Herrion.
Nope.
Let's go with Elijah Holyfield.
Mm-mm.
DeAndre Swift.
No, it was after him. So it wasn't 2017.
Gosh, who was in that?
It was
class?
Deshaun Edwards.
It was a 2018 season.
Oh,
Who is in that class?
that would have been Kenny McIntosh. James Cook.
Nope.
Come on, who is it?
Justin Fields rushed for 100 yards against
Bro.
UMass.
No wonder it was his favorite. It was basically a trick question. He knew no one was gonna get it.
Well, it's also
That's the one I'm walking out of the restaurant. If this is
Yeah.
the games we
that's
play
a
in.
great. That's great, dude. It's also pertinent to this week. He did it against UMass, playing UMass this Saturday. I was very proud of that question, finding that one. All right, this is a good one. And then the last 3 instances where Georgia has scored 60 points. I'll give you a hint. It's happened.
TCU, Florida State.
That's 2 or 3.
Murray State.
I'm impressed that you got that one. Yes, but it's not the most recent.
Damn.
There's one in between that.
There's been some 50 burgers, but
They
they're
didn't score 60 on Oregon.
no.
Nope, it's 49.
I don't know. I got the 2. Can you
Not
get the third?
UAB.
I'll give you a hint. They've happened in consecutive years. So you got the last 2. So think of a year before that.
So that would have been in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
What was it?
They didn't beat Kent State that bad. They didn't beat
No.
Sanford that bad.
That was 22. You're thinking of the 22 season.
I don't know. Who is it? UAB?
I said UAB, but I don't think it is. They got 56 that year.
Murray State?
Nope.
Already said that one.
It was an SEC team.
What?
SEC team.
Vandy.
Oh, Vandy.
They win the
Vandy.
national and
Vandy.
gave
Kamari
Vandy
Lassiter pick game.
62.
That was
to
also
nothing.
with the one where JT Daniels looked really good, and then Stetson came in, and it was just a
Tipped
takeover.
balls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, this is a two-parter. You have to give me the player and the year. What was the last year a Georgia quarterback had multiple 400-yard performances in a season?
One more time.
The last year a Georgia quarterback had multiple 400-yard performances in a season, not counting Carson Beck this year.
JT Daniels. No.
Nope, he only did it once against
Aaron
Mississippi
Murray?
State. Aaron Murray's correct. What season was it?
That would have been 13.
Yep. Before he tore his ACL.
Complete guess.
Well, 2013
Complete
was,
and total guess.
Here's one for you. Name the 4 5-star commits in Georgia's 2024 recruiting class.
Justin Williams.
Yep.
Nate Frazier.
Nope.
Chris Cole.
Yep, that's 2.
Ellis Robinson.
There's 3.
Um,
Jaden Riddell wasn't one, was he?
Nope.
no.
It's a big name you guys are missing.
Not
Daniel
Justin
Calhoun?
Jones.
Nope. Plays a lot.
Oh, KJ Bolden.
KJ
KJ
Bolden. Yeah. I should have gotten that. That was on me.
All right, one guess only. You only get one net guess at this, one shot.
Yeah.
Who led Georgia in receiving yards against Tennessee this past week?
Oh, I know. I
You're
know
off.
the answer. I know the answer.
Oh, no.
London Humphreys.
Yeah.
London Humphreys.
What?
Yeah, that's how his reaction I had. to
How?
that.
London Humphreys.
That's
The-
interesting.
The
He
one
had-
big play.
He had that 50-50 ball. That
The one where Carson literally put it in such a good spot that London didn't have to move his arms or change anything about his body shape. It just went.
All right, this is my last trivia question for you. Georgia currently has 2 top 10 wins in 2024. What was the last season that had that many top 10 wins in the regular season, and can you name the teams?
The teams,
2015.
the teams had to finish inside the top 10?
No, they were top 10 wins when they had them.
2021,
That's the year.
Arkansas.
Arkansas, and who else?
Tennessee?
would've been?
Nope.
Arkansas and
That was Heupel's first
Oh,
year.
Kentucky was a top 10 team.
Kentucky was number 11.
Ah, dang it.
No, they weren't. They were bad that year.
This was a big win for the program.
Wasn't Notre Dame wasn't that year.
Kind of got things started off the right way.
Oh, Oregon.
Nope, that's 22.
Oh,
started
Clemson.
off the right way.
Clemson.
Oh,
Clemson.
yeah.
Clemson was
yeah,
number
yeah,
3 when
yeah.
you beat him. Arkansas was number
Yeah.
8.
Mm,
How'd y'all feel about those trivia questions?
Those
I
are
thought they were
solid
pretty
ones.
good.
I like it.
those are pretty good.
Very unique.
Thank you. Thank you.
One nostalgic tape.
Let's do it.
Let's
got
do
it,
it. Is it
baby.
ready?
It's ready.
Always ready.
It's already up on the board.
Primed.
There's a good chance you'll get this one, but this tape is just so much fun to watch.
I heard this is sophomore tape.
This is sophomore tape of this player.
He said it has to be sophomore tape.
You ready for this?
Put in perspective.
Random guess.
Let's hear
Is
it.
this N'Kobe Dean's
It
tape?
It is.
It is very nice. What gave
Did
it
you
away?
fall in love with sophomore N'Kobe Dean? Is that
No,
why?
I know the unis.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just too easy.
You know, I tried to do outside of Georgia and maybe throw you off because I know you recognize Georgia uniforms.
Nah, I
so
watched a
well.
lot of N'Kobe Dean tape. I watched the senior tape though. I didn't watch the junior or the sophomore
The
tape.
sophomore tape that's a sophomore.
I mean, are we at least a tad bit impressed?
very
I'm
impressed.
impressed with myself.
I'm very impressed.
I mean, it's a damn goal line snap. All right, here we go. I would have gotten it. Oh my God.
Closes so.
I would have gotten it immediately watching the gate.
Yeah.
Watching the gate on this
The way
dude.
he closes is insane.
I thought he was going to be, this sounds crazy. I thought he was going to be far more explosive in college than he was
That's fair.
off the high school tape, but it's high school tape. Like, this was, I know he had a pec injury and I know he didn't run during the but if you made him go run a 40 today, he'd be a 4.75 guy
Probably.
because of that right there. It's no top end. It's the elite twitch that he's got.
Yeah.
And that's what you need as an inbox linebacker, man. Nah, dude, the senior tape or the final tape that he's got is body bags left
Yeah.
and right.
It's
Body
like,
bags.
You just have to consistently remind yourself this kid is 15 years old in this video.
He's out here playing in the slot right here. Oh! Oh! Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The amount of pass rush bag this dude developed during his college years at Georgia has been some of the best personal development I've seen. It's him playing
Look at
offense.
him up the slot.
He went from a guy
Slot
that
fade.
I mean Channing Tindall gets a lot of credit in that group for being the best pass rushing backer. This has been the best pass rushing linebacker Georgia's had, in my opinion, because he's 5'11". He's got really short arms, and he figured out ways to beat guys with hand fighting techniques and being able to bend, and just watching him develop as a pass rusher was just a quintessential, like, oh, that's why you're Nakobe Dean. You're seeking every possible way to get better.
He played the game with a certain aggressiveness that I just don't think you've seen at the line.
He turned and ran with that kid as a 15-year-old sophomore.
Oh, my Lord.
What? No, watch this one.
Yeah. That's
Watch
what I'm
him
saying.
turn and run up underneath this number 2 wide receiver. Shut up. And then get your head around.
Good.
The level of football instincts that this dude has are insane.
It's honestly shocking he dropped to the 3rd round. Well,
Oh, my God. Catch a body. Oh, and ball out. And ball out.
is he Cribbit? Oh, it's not him.
That's not him.
But still.
Man. Playing way. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. That's a tackle, by the way. That's a tackle that's outside the box.
Is it? I wasn't even looking.
Or a big tight end, one or the other.
Yeah,
that's not a
tight end.
small human.
Yeah, no, that's a Y they're knocking over.
Oof. Also, no drip.
Doesn't need
No
it.
drip. Doesn't need drip. The game's the drip.
The guys like that though, where there is no drip, ooh, that's the more terrifying ones.
Here to play some ball.
I'm just here to play some ball.
If you heard like coming into practice, like, hey, so and so's team's got a 4 or 5 star player, and you got off the bus on Friday and you saw that they had, all the pads and the visors and the tape and everything, you go, okay, that makes sense. If you see that guy, he's got no gloves, no visor, some dirty ass cleats, just normal ankle socks, you are terrified because that man doesn't care about anything but football. He doesn't need to look good. He's just here to beat your ass. Meanwhile, 3 hours ago, you were taking a math test. Now you got to go face this shit.
I'm here to put that drip on and beat some ass, and I'm all out of drip.
There you go. There you go.
Somebody in the chat said, I don't even know if I should address it, but it's just, I've tried watching my language, and I think I'm avoiding the F word nowadays. I think I'm doing
I think we're
a pretty
doing
good
better
job
at that.
at doing that. But man, like, I don't know. I talk the way I talk. I'm sorry. The word shit might come out every once in a while. I apologize.
You want him to stop? Let's get syndicated. Let's get signed by a big network, and we'll stop cussing.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I made a decision a while back that I was just going to be me. That if things don't explode for us, it's not going to be because I wasn't true to myself. I wasn't who I am. So yeah, I hope that people stick around for it, and I'll try to be better about it. I know a lot of people listen to the show with their kids and stuff like that, and I'm extremely grateful for that. And yeah, I definitely got rid of the trying to get rid of the F word. That's on me. But yeah, if y'all are expecting something else other than me, I don't know what to do.
What if we had like a disclaimer at the end of our intro video, like warning? What you're about to hear.
Warning.
Is football talk.
Warning, big head man might say bad word.
You could do it like that. I'd just be like, what you're about to hear is what you hear on the field.
Yeah.
If you're too afraid of that, sorry, this ain't the show for you.
Yeah, especially like when I'm on the board and I'm talking football. I mean, I'm just talking. I'm not thinking.
Yeah.
It's not. I'm
You're
not
in-
trying
you're
to
in a
be
fugue
anything other
state.
than what I am. So yeah, we good?
Think
I
we're
believe
good?
so.
Big high school football games tomorrow. We'll be in Athens Saturday. Who's going with me Saturday? You are?
I'll meet you Saturday.
I
I
have
see
that
how,
for you,
I
by
see
the
how
way.
that is. You
Oh,
just out here giving the man the shit.
No,
games.
I want to preface this by saying when the season
had a
before the
deal?
season started, I said I will give you the option if you would like to cover Georgia Tech, and he said I have to be with family over Thanksgiving. I won't be in town. I said no worries, I got you. I'll cover it.
Well, no, I'll be in Athens, but like my entire family comes to. This is like this and the Florida game are like the two games that my family always goes to. So, gotta be there.
So he said he'd rather take UMass.
Be
I
there
said
with
that's
the
perfectly
folks.
fine.
Well,
I'll
I'm
take
not
the Friday
complaining.
game.
Not complaining at all. I'm very thankful.
We handled it like some grown men and talked it out.
very professionally.
Bennett Spear wants me to hit this super chub before we leave. Hearing it was $12 million for Bryce Underwood. Do we ever see a number this high ever again, or is this going to continue to be the normal going forward? No. This last cycle will be the craziest one yet. Until those House versus NCAA sanctions come out and fully finalized and they're implemented, I think you're going to see agents do everything they can to maximize the dollar values that they can seek right now. I think this is going to be the craziest portal window coming up that we've had.
Get your bag.
I think it's going to be a lot of agents talking to players about, hey, this money ain't going to be here forever. Eventually, these things are going to be regulated, right? Eventually, that's what's going to come out. You're going to get a stipend that basically, whether it's $200,000, $300,000, whatever it is, football players are going to make X amount of dollars via their name, image, and likeness and rev share that they're going to get out of House versus NCAA. And then NIL will then be, quote, regulated. Now, what does that look like? I would imagine that the regulation comes from you're actually going to have to show proof of investment from a marketing company, right? You're not just going to get pay for play, which is what you're getting right now. You're getting a bunch of money funneled into an NIL collective, and then that money going out to players via monthly installments and monthly deposits. I don't think that's going to continue at the rate that it is now. I would imagine you're still going to allow some type of collective, endorsements and some type of collective involvement with some of these schools and some of these recruiting bases. But this idea that 17 boosters are going to be able to get together and round up $12 million for one specific player, I don't know, and buy that player to come to their school. I don't know if that's going to be available in 18 months. So knowing that, if I were an agent right now, we'd be wielding big guns in all of these negotiations. All of them. Big guns. Appreciate you guys for being here. If you have another football question, football Q4BA. By the way, that is not your opportunity to get in there and ask me what I think about this weekend's matchup. That is your opportunity to get in there and ask a genuine football question that you have about the game of football, like we talked about tonight. Certain techniques, certain words that I use during the show that you don't necessarily understand that aren't four-letter curse words. If there's questions, football Q4BA. Appreciate you for being here. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button, and if you didn't subscribe today, make sure you do so on your way out. I love you. Bye.
Please subscribe so I can buy Mucinex.